prime minister vowed again to defeat Hamas. The nation's health secretary back on the Capitol Hill Grill defending his budget.
Under your budget proposal, Americans would die of needless and preventable death.
Connecticut Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro at a House Appropriations Subcommittee hearing. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says smarter spending is needed.
We will shift funding away from bureaucracy toward direct impact.
He also faces a Senate panel today. That House panel also taking up funding for Trump deportation efforts.
Ranking member Illinois Democrat Rep. Lauren Underwood telling acting ICE Director Todd Lyons that the Trump administration is cashing checks it doesn't have to reach an unrealistic goal amid ongoing deportation and detention efforts that she claims
are operating with disrespect and disregard for the foundational constitutional principles that govern our country.
The Trump administration has called for a goal of over 1 million deportations per year, in which acting ICE Director Lyons says they're prioritizing the worst of the worst, vowing
to preserve the rule of law and protect our fellow Americans.
ICE is also asking Congress for more funding to continue the massive deportation efforts.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. America is listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No question, with the southwest flow, temperatures have been on the rise. Mostly sunny skies going through our Wednesday afternoon. Will top out at about 85. Very mild tonight, only 68 for the overnight low. Thursday, kind of a hot day, partly to mostly sunny skies, breezy from the southwest. 93, the record is 94 from 1944. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
St. Louis homeowners, are you thinking about upsizing, downsizing, or relocating this year? Hey, it's Mark Cox. When life happens and you need to sell your home, I recommend you talk to my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands every seller situation is unique. That's why she has created custom programs to fit every home seller's needs. Many people move out of necessity, like for a new job or financial challenges. That's why Gloria created her guaranteed multiple cash offer program, giving you up to 6 of the best offers with at least one at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Plus, you sell faster. Gloria did this for the Miller family in Clayton and got them more money than they were expecting and within their time frame. She did it for them. She can do it for you. Get your offers today by calling Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox. To keep you healthy and feeling your best, you can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, it is the moment you have been waiting for. Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Manny Fry Show.
Uh-oh, it's the Manny Fry Show. Annie has a sore throat, and when you can't talk and talk radio, that makes it really hard to talk for talk radio. So go ahead.
That was the most astute, accurate thing I've ever heard you say.
Thank you very much. We are going to be talking about a lot of this Jake Tapper book. I just can't get over it. I have so many other stories, but I said, Brad, we got to lead with Jake Tapper again because it's just so bad. And we're going to talk to Joe Concha in the show, probably a little bit about that too. Andy McCarthy actually coming up next. He is surprisingly strongly opinionated about the Democrats obstructing or going in, storming an ICE facility. You've seen this story. He is our legal guy, well, one of our legal guys that we go to pretty often, Andy McCarthy from the National Review, and he tends to take a pretty nuanced approach to a lot of things. On this one, I understand he is saying, no, this is illegal. Yeah, they should be.
It'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about it. I want to get his thoughts on it because I saw him on America Reports, I think it was yesterday, talking about it. And, yeah, don't obstruct ICE officers.
Don't do it. You won't have a problem with the law. So let's talk about Jake Tapper. That is the subject of our YouTube live chat poll today. How much of Jake Tapper's book about Joe Biden's decline will you read? You have two options, 0% or any other percent. So you can tell that me and Brad came up with this one because we kind of figure we know the way you're going to vote on this. But, hey, maybe you want to hate read it.
Maybe you want to just a little bit.
Yeah, we know there's a percentage of Democrats out there who might read the book,
too. There might be a little tea in that book that
we'll
you
see.
Haven't heard.
We'll see. So let's start with this book from Jake Tapper. Now, I pulled up the overview of the book, and I don't know if this is on the back cover or what, but this is what Google says about the book, called Original Sin by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, an explosive account of one of the most hubristic mistakes in American political history. Joe Biden's decision to run for re-election despite mounting evidence of his decline and his team's increasingly desperate efforts to hide it. So who also was helping them hide it? I think if you listen to the show, or really if you have paid attention for the last 4 years, you know the answer to that. The media. The media could have outed this pretty much in 2020 if they wanted to, during the first campaign if they wanted to. But now the media seems to be turning a little bit. I saw that Pete Buttigieg was even saying, yeah, this was probably not a good move for Joe Biden to even declare re-election. So now there's cracks in the facade a bit, and it's coming out, and Jake Tapper is going to make some money on it by saying that he was a part of the solution. He was trying the whole time to tell you that Joe Biden was not fit for office, that he had trouble. He had maybe even some mental problems he was dealing with that you may not have noticed, but because the media is so close to these people, they were picking it up. That will probably be in that book, Original Sin. The thing is, Brad and I, in our deep research, have come up with a few clips that seem to suggest the opposite. Surprise, surprise that this stuff exists. You're on TV, sir. We have the record. So let's start with one from when Jake Tapper was interviewing Laura Trump weeks before the 2020 presidential election.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
It's very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no I can't. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
That's not a cognitive decline. It's a stutter. You remember that. That was the talking point in 2020 because we all could see something was wrong. It's really important to remember because we're going to find that the debate itself of 2024 is such an impressionable moment on American history that we're all going to remember that really, really well. But we're going to forget how far back this goes. In 2018, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was saying in private messages that became public because his son was addicted to cocaine and left his laptop in just some random shop. And by the way, the FBI covered all that up as well, but that's beside the point. In that laptop, he was saying that in 2018, he knew his dad had dementia. And of course, that got all swept under the rug, not just the story of dementia, but the story about Hunter Biden as well. That was there for journalists like Jake Tapper to grab. They could have done that too. Here's another one that Jake Tapper said that it's just a stutter.
Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it.
And again, this big one, now I have a supercut of this somewhere from, a few months ago. Do you remember right before Joe Biden dropped out of the race? We're kind of popping around in time here.
Yeah.
But right before he dropped out of the race in 2024, it was like a memo went out. And I've always been curious as to whether an actual memo goes out from the White House to their friendly journalists, or if one person says it and then maybe a couple lawmakers say it and it just kind of spreads like wildfire. They're not intending it to be like talking points that they're putting out on purpose, but it sounds good and somebody hears that and somebody else says it and somebody else says it and somebody else says it. I don't really know whether it's top down or if it's a little more organic than that. But do you remember sharp as attack?
Yeah.
That was a phrase.
Sharp as attack.
That it was Joe Scarborough is the one I really remember, but there was a bunch of others.
I remember Joe Scarborough saying, "And F you if you don't believe me."
Yes. My gosh.
This is the best Joe Biden. No, it isn't. Shut up.
Well, Corinne Jean-Pierre couldn't keep up with him. He's so fast. But sharp as attack was a phrase. They tried to put that out into the lexicon of America, and it worked. I just don't know that it worked in the way that they wanted. And Jake Tapper was a part of that.
He's sharp physically. I mean, mentally. Yeah. I think the question is physically, right? Right. More so? Right. Right. And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Yeah, he's sharp.
Right.
He's sharp. He's sharp mentally. He stumbles around a little bit, but he's sharp mentally. That's what you got to know. The fourth one here, interrogating Biden's 2024 Democrat primary opponent. Now, this is kind of a blip in history, but Dean Phillips, the Democrat from Minnesota, was the only person to take on the Biden campaign, the Biden oligarchy, you might say. I don't know if you want to say it that way, but I'm saying it that way.
Why are you talking like that?
This is the way smart people talk. Well, they're just trying to share a point. Dean Phillips from Minnesota was interviewed by Jake Tapper, and this topic came up.
I mean, you have questioned President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead. Of those supporting Biden, you said, quote, "Shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster." Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. Sure. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercise in narcissism. I mean.
So again, that's recently. That wasn't too long ago. That was Dean Phillips. He, of course, went nowhere. Everybody got in line and pushed Biden across the finish line. It's just so funny how that ended because you look back and you know that lots of people were asking the question, why is he running again at that time? But they were doing it all behind closed doors because apparently, and this is a big difference between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. If you're going to run for office in the Democrat Party, you better get in line.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can tolerate you and your AOCs a little bit because you're in districts that you don't matter that much and you become kind of a public face and so on and so forth. But there are so many examples of the Democrat machine deciding for the voters, this is what you get. 2020 was one of those times. There basically was no pushback against Joe Biden. Now you might say, well, because he's an incumbent. Incumbents are always going to get that. Well, okay, I mean 2024. I said 2020. Mm-hmm. That's fair. But there are so many other examples, and I can go back to Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. If you want to go just recently, I'm not even talking about Kamala Harris and that coronation that she got. If you want to go recently, just yesterday, the Democrat machine pushed out David Hogg, and he was elected to that position within the DNC. But they decided to find some random rule to push this guy out because he wasn't following the script. There are a lot of people in the Republican Party who do not follow the script. And yeah, sometimes the president yells at those guys and says they're idiots and stuff because he's trying to get them in line. But you know what they don't do? Get in line. They just don't. And I'm talking about the Chip Roys, the Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls right now. Those names change, but right now that's who it is with the big, beautiful bill.
You are absolutely, in the Republican Party, you are absolutely allowed to have a difference of opinion, a difference of thought, and you're allowed to voice that thought. There's no body forcing everybody to get in line and toe the party line wherever the party goes, which I think is good for the country.
I think it's good for the country. I think it's good for everybody. It's good for the party, despite what a lot of people say. I follow Chip Roy on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but I follow him on Twitter because I think he's actually a pretty reasonable. Thomas Massey is a hardliner. So is Rand Paul.
I like Thomas Massey.
And I like him too. But there are times that I'm like, you do have to negotiate a little bit. But I still appreciate him. Chip Roy will negotiate. And he, oddly, is one of the guys who I think, I'm not saying Thomas Massey won't do this, but Chip Roy, in moments like this, he will say, here's what we need to do. Because a lot of people will just say no because we need to balance the budget. Well, that's cool, but show us your plan for that. And Chip Roy is a guy who will step up and go, here's my plan. Anyway, that's a tangent. But he's getting a lot of stuff into this bill. And so we're talking about it with Ryan Schmelz over and over, like pretty much every week because it's big news right now. But anyway, back to Jake Tapper. More of him dismissing any problems with Joe Biden's mental acuity.
False claims to the Wall Street Journal about President Biden's mental fitness and acuity.
Speaking of the Wall Street Journal, here's a little bit longer clip of him being very critical of the Wall Street Journal and saying, look, they're a partisan paper, not like him.
Yeah.
He's just reporting the news, but this partisan paper, they're suggesting things about Joe Biden that he didn't really like.
Oh, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping, unquote. The Wall Street Journal is owned by News Corp, which is run by the Murdochs.
Yeah, see, that's all right-wing stuff. And then there's the Russia collusion guy he was talking to, and the Biden stuff came up during that conversation.
He's 81, and his memory, it doesn't seem great. It's not horrible, but I don't understand the outrage.
It's over and over and over. My point in playing these is that it wasn't an isolated incident that he didn't ask the right question. It's over and over.
Well, what's interesting about those clips, all those clips together, is those are in somewhat of a chronological order, and you can listen to them and hear his narrative shift. That first clip with Laura Trump was in 2020, and what was the big excuse for Joe Biden? It was his stutter. He's talking about his stutter. And then it's like he's sharp as a tack. He's not declining. And then by the end of it, you're getting to this one where it's like, well, he's a little bit, but it's not really that big a deal. It's kind of more Russian disinformation. They're blowing it up.
Yeah, speaking of the Russians, there was a conversation that happened. There's more. You thought we were done. No, there's more. There was a conversation that happened between Jake Tapper and I can't remember who this was he was talking to, but he says, well, the Russians were trying to make us believe that we should question our elections. And then that topic actually made it into that conversation.
The Russians are trying to make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has dementia and all this stuff.
Oh, it's the Russians that are suggesting that Joe Biden has dementia.
He's just a little old. He's not slipping that bad. He doesn't have dementia. It's all Russian disinformation.
All right, I promise this is the last one.
Beyond the headline, there is some critical nuance here. The article is mostly based on observations of Republicans, with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the only one going on the record. They do note in the article that most of the criticism comes from Republicans. Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No.
That's Chris Coons.
Nobody. No, there's nobody's saying that. Behind closed doors, nobody's saying that Joe Biden seems a little slower. It's also possible that nobody was around Joe Biden. I mean, they closed off access to him completely.
Well, I've seen reports about that too, where they just kind of cordoned him off, and even his cabinet didn't get to meet with him. Which that's no way to run a country.
It's also not an excuse, because I know two people in this room who were also not around Joe Biden who knew that he was slipping.
Yes.
Me and you. Everybody could see it.
I feel like I could find some more people just outside that door, too.
You don't have to be in the Oval Office with Joe Biden to say, yeah, something's off there. And everybody knew it. And again, the reason I'm bringing this up is because somehow, amazingly, Jake Tapper is trying to rewrite his own history, which is openly recorded in this new book called Original Sin, which is an explosive account of one of the most hubristic mistakes in American political history, Joe Biden's decision to run for re-election despite mounting evidence of his decline. That is the overview of his book. I hope that rings a little bit truer or raises alarm bells a little bit more after hearing all of those clips. It's important to talk about this stuff because, A, they're going to try to rewrite history and make themselves the hero. We cannot let that happen.
Or at the very least, the victim. We were fooled. We didn't know. We didn't actually run cover. They pulled the wool over our eyes.
And B, this story is more important than probably it gets credit for because there's a lot of stuff that the media has lied about for a long time. I've got a list somewhere in my office, I should have brought it in, of just the lies of the last 4 years. And not things that I would say, no, they were wrong about that. I mean, provable, they got sued for them lies over the last 4 or 5 years. And there's so many that we forget about them, but we're not going to forget about this one because this one was right in our faces the whole time. Mm-hmm. And it is really important to remember what the media was saying when it was happening, not afterwards.
And it wasn't just that it was in our faces. It was in our faces. We were screaming about it, and they were calling us falling for Russian disinformation. They were saying it was cheap fakes. They were saying that we were bigoted toward people with stutters. They were blaming us for what we're doing. That's classic gaslighting.
That's exactly right. That's today's YouTube live chat poll. How much of Jake Tapper's book about Biden's decline will you read? 0% or literally any other percentage? Let us know. It's kind of a funny poll, but we're still going to do it. Coming up next, like I said, Andy McCarthy, is going to be here talking about the legality of the DOJ possibly going after some of these Democrats who were, hip-checking agents and stopping ICE, storming into the facility in New Jersey. Let's talk about that next with Andy McCarthy.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at Cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
Love Talk Radio? We want to hear from you. Help shape the future of your favorite shows right here in St. Louis. Tell us what you love, what you skip, and what you want more of, because your voice matters. You'll be helping us make better radio for you and the entire St. Louis community. It's easy to sign up, and selected panelists will receive a special gift as a thank you. Visit 971talk.com/feedback to join the conversation today. That's 971talk.com/feedback.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Want to retire in 5 years or less? You can do it, just like Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa.
So we started passively. It was on vacation is when we realized we really need to take the plunge and be more active in this. Just because I'm an educator, I wanted to really know what I was doing. So it was just education on my part is really big. And I'm like, well, I could do that.
Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Myself, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, and Congressman Rob Menendez. We're here conducting an oversight visit, which we have the power to do as congressional members. Statutory authority. And so that is what we're here for, and we're waiting to speak to a supervisor to let us in here because, as you can see, they will not let us in.
Andy McCarthy is here to talk about that subject, contributing editor at National Review and fellow at the National Review Institute. Andy, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure.
So I've heard you talking about this topic a little bit, and let us, it seems like the argument is that, yeah, but they're members of Congress, so they really have legal immunity to do whatever they want.
Well, no, they don't. Congress is, first of all, when members of Congress run around doing stuff of their own volition out in the field, so to speak, they're not acting as Congress as they do in Washington when Congress convenes as a body. Members of Congress don't do oversight on site unless the committees that they're attached to deputize them to go do on-site oversight. Congress's oversight responsibilities over the executive branch, which is to basically manage the way that public funds are being spent so that, we know that everything's on the up and up. That's basically something that Congress does in Washington. But, you can't, as a member of Congress, just freelance, do whatever you want, and then if called on it, say you're acting as a member of Congress, because you're not unless you've been authorized by a committee to do that. So there was no such authorization here. These were 3 members of Congress, along with the Mayor Ras Baraka of Newark, New Jersey, who were just basically not only rabble-rousing, but were interfering with the administration of federal immigration law. That's not or the enforcement of that law. That's not oversight, that's obstruction.
We're talking with Andy McCarthy about, of course, these Democrats who stormed an ICE facility in New Jersey and now are facing the repercussions of doing so. Is this something that there's any precedent for, Andy?
Well, there's a lot of precedent in history for members of Congress doing kind of dodgy things, and when called on it, trying to rely on speech and debate clause constitutional immunity. That kind of thing happens a lot. During any time that you have periods of unrest in the country historically, and we've seen this in modern history, obviously going back to the protests over the Vietnam War, there are a lot of Washington pals who get involved in that stuff. Sometimes they get arrested, but often they want to be seen as in association with whatever movements are involved in the unrest. So I'd hesitate to say that anything like this was unprecedented. And if you want to broaden the lens a little bit and think about, the dynamic here and why this happens, there's a lot less precedent, but there is some for the idea that the states can nullify federal law. We have going back, I guess, the last 20 years or so. I wouldn't call myself an expert on when this first arose. We have municipalities in mainly Democratic-controlled municipalities, often in big cities around the country. Newark is the biggest city in New Jersey, that style themselves as sanctuary jurisdictions. And their thing is they're trying to nullify federal immigration law. But what they mean by sanctuary, at least to the extent that it's legal, is that they will not help the federal government enforce the law. And it gets kind of murky because the way our law works and the way federalism works, immigration enforcement is now deemed to be, by the courts over the last century, a paramount federal responsibility. And under federalism principles, the feds are not allowed to commandeer the state. That is to say, they can't force state instrumentalities and state officials to help them enforce federal immigration law. But on the other hand, the states can't obstruct. They can't positively do things to block the feds from enforcing immigration law. And where those things divide can be a kind of a murky line.
As usually things are during the Trump administration. It's like we're constantly testing these things. Andy McCarthy with us on the phone right now. Since we're talking about precedent, I wanted to also ask, is there any history to the DOJ of the United States going after sitting members of Congress, and what does that look like?
It's always messy because it always it always invokes these separation of powers principles and the need to sort out what responsibilities members of Congress have that are properly or plausibly thought of as their official acts or official duties versus what is their personal conduct. And we've had, I think the most famous case I can remember over the last, I don't want to date myself too much, but certainly over the last several decades, there was a congressman whose name was Washington who had, you may remember this, he had a stack of money. I think he's deceased now, but anyway, he had a stack of money in a refrigerator in his congressional office. And there was a big to-do about whether that could be offered as evidence at the trial, whether it was proper for the Justice Department or its enforcement agencies to be, searching the offices of Congress on Capitol Hill. I think ultimately what happened was he was convicted, but on the basis of evidence that they recovered that was outside of Capitol Hill and outside of his offices. But it was for a while, it was a pretty profound argument between the executive branch and the legislative branch. And it was the people on Capitol Hill that were whipped up about it. It was actually a bipartisan collection of figures who didn't like the idea that even if they thought that Washington had done, felonious things, they didn't like the idea of the Justice Department and the administration thinking that they could do search warrants on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. I find that stuff fascinating. I think it's because I'm always interested to know, well, what are the loopholes? If you're elected to Congress, can you get away with more than not? And can you get away with more in the building than outside the building? Go ahead, Brad.
Hey, Andy, I was just wondering what kind of penalties, if these congresspersons are prosecuted, what kind of penalties could they face for what they did?
Brett, it depends on what you charge them with, right? So what we're hearing, Ros Baraka, the mayor of Newark, So far, he's the only one who's been charged. These three Congress critters that you mentioned, they're caught up in all of this, and there's a possibility that they could be charged. But for the moment, the only one who's been charged is Baraka. He's only been charged in a complaint, nothing more formal than that. A complaint is just when you arrest somebody, you have to give the court a summary of what the probable cause for the arrest is. And the only charge, as I understand it, there was trespassing, which is a misdemeanor. I thought it was important to say that because just so people understand, if you're charged with a felony and the government wants to charge you formally with the felony, that is to take it a step up from just a complaint in support of an arrest to now formal criminal charges. If it's a felony, the government has to go through the grand jury to get an indictment. If it's a misdemeanor, the United States attorney can charge that, just a Justice Department official. So far, it's just a misdemeanor charge of trespassing, and most of the time, the Justice Department doesn't pursue misdemeanors because there's X plus amount of crime and only X amount of resources to pursue crime. So what you try to do is put your enforcement buck in the place where you get the most bang for it, and that's usually not misdemeanor prosecutions. Usually the feds leave those to the state. But of course, among the Trump people and the MAGA crowd, what they will tell you is that, hundreds of people who didn't commit any acts of violence were charged in the Capitol unrest of January 6, 2021, with crimes, misdemeanor crimes like trespassing and parading and that sort of thing. And what they argue is that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're going to go after those people for those crimes, then why not Ras Baraka for trespassing? So I guess we're going to see that play out.
Yeah, and this, I want to talk too about this judge in Wisconsin. But we're talking with Andy McCarthy, contributing editor at National Review. He wrote an article about this topic. It's very, very informative. Highly recommend it. Called "ICE Obstructing Democrats Have Lost Their Minds." And that is why we're talking about it today with him. But you end that article talking about this Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan. Is that an open and shut case? She was, moving illegal immigrants out the back door of the courthouse. I mean, come on.
Well, it's only one illegal immigrant, but I don't think it's as open and shut a case as a lot of the commentary does. And I guess I'm in a minority in this, but the thought that she doesn't have a defense, I think, is way, way overstated. And I always have to preface this by saying I find what she did reprehensible, and I hope the jury convicts her if there's a case. So don't misunderstand me. It's not like I'm rooting for her, but I used to do this for a living, so you have to try to anticipate what they're going to say, right? And I have to tell you, I was a deputy United States Marshal for a few years before I was a prosecutor, and we did court security and that sort of thing. If you turn this equation around and you had, say, the New York City police wanted to arrest someone and they heard that the person was going to have a hearing in federal court on some other case, so they just decided to show up at federal court and put the cuffs on the guy outside the courtroom, the federal judges would go crazy. And the federal authorities would go crazy because what you're supposed to do in these situations is, you talk to the court officials, you talk to the court security people, you let them know you're coming. In most states, with respect to immigration enforcement, there are understandings between the feds and the state about, what the feds are allowed to do on state facilities in order to enforce the federal law. That didn't happen in Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, the agents just showed up and they wanted to arrest this guy. Now, they had a warrant to arrest him. There's no doubt about that. But under federalism principles, the federal authorities have to respect the state system just like the state system has to respect the federal system. And what these judges were concerned about, and, I'm not saying this judge isn't a flaming lefty who has a soft spot for undocumented people. But what the state is legitimately concerned about is that, number one, it's a sanctuary jurisdiction, which means they don't affirmatively help the feds. And that means the feds are not supposed to use instrumentalities of the state system in order to enforce federal law, which is what they were trying to do with that courthouse. But from the judge's perspective, what they're going to say is, we are not part of federal law enforcement. We are a neutral judicial institution where people come to get justice, and that if people think that if they show up for their state court proceedings, which they're required to do by subpoenas and statute and all that stuff, if they think when they show up for their state proceedings they're going to be arrested by the feds, then they're going to stop showing up for their state proceedings, which is going to undermine state law enforcement and state judicial proceedings. So from their perspective, they were very unhappy about the idea that without warning, the feds showed up and they were ready to use the state facility in order to arrest this guy. You can understand why they wanted to do it, because when a person comes into a state courthouse, they have to go through a magnetometer to make sure that they're not armed, and they have to, leave anything that they have that could be used as a weapon. They usually leave it in a lockup when you come in the lobby. So from the agent's perspective, you'd much rather try to arrest somebody outside a courtroom because he's not going to be armed, and you're going to be out in a narrow corridor where there's not going to be much opportunity for the person to flee. But the fact that the feds see the sense in doing that, which I think we can all see, doesn't mean that the state's crazy about it.
Is my last question for you, because we're almost out of time here, and you kind of led into this, but it sounds like the defense for this judge in Wisconsin has less to do with her being a judge and more about it being at a judicial at a place where, like you said, like there's supposed to be different laws. It's not necessarily that she's a judge, though.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it's an important one, because most of the commentary that we've heard about this judge has been put in this bucket of Trump versus the judges. That's a big thing that the left is flagging. And it's not that they don't have reason to do it. Like, Trump has a lot of disputes with various judges now, and the attorney general has gone on television and ripped judges, which is highly unusual. So you can understand why they want to make it a big thing of Trump versus the judges. But when you're talking about separation of powers, we have two different constitutional concepts. One of them is vertical separation of powers. That's the three branches of the federal government. That's horizontal separation of powers, where you have three branches of the federal government, and they all have different responsibilities, and they're supposed to respect each other, right? Then there's vertical separation of powers, which is between the feds and the state. So I regard this dispute not as Trump versus the judges, but the federal government versus the state government. I think that's what you're going to hear in terms of the argument she makes.
Yeah, that's good to frame that up as we follow this story continually. We are out of time, though. Andy McCarthy, really appreciate your time, contributing editor at National Review and also former Deputy U.S. Marshal. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Andy McCarthy is a great legal mind. He has had some great debates. Now, we've heard him on this show quite a bit, but I heard him, and I wanted to bring this up, but we just don't have time. He had a great debate with Brian Kilmeade about the MS-13 gang member.
Yeah.
And the due process before it was ever a thing. And it's so important to arm yourself with facts. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things he's really good at, is saying, look, here's my personal opinion, but here's how legally this will have to play out.
Right.
And so it's great to have him on. We are long, though. We are going to get to Wiggins America coming up next. It'll be Ethan's America, since I am in the big chair today. It is the Manny Fry Show. Annie's got a sore throat, and that makes it tough to talk. So we took over for the day. Hopefully she'll be back tomorrow, and we will be back right after this.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
The Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. We want to know, how much of Jake Tapper's book about Joe Biden's decline will you read? And we've got two very complicated answers here for you. You can either say 0% or literally any other percent. So jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFry, Fry spelled Frey, and vote in the poll. You'll see the chat there. Leave us a comment. Tell us why you voted the way you voted. The chat's been hopping with this one. So we really want to know what you think on this one. The time is 12:47. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, Brian Kilmeade and his weekly visit. Also, what finally landed in the framework of the big, beautiful bill? We're going to talk about it.
The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6. Right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I
Annie's
never
out,
could.
Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Trying to place the artist. Who is this?
This is Biebs.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah,
I would have never.
and
That's how much I don't
Is it Kid
know.
Leroy? Yeah, the Kid Leroy.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Bieber.
Ethan, come in here and help us out with this.
This is Bieber?
This is the Kid Leroy.
So it's not Bieber then?
So that
Brad
part,
lied?
So it's the Kid Leroy feature. Well, okay.
So he's on it, sort of.
Justin Bieber's a feature, but he isn't singing that part of it.
Oh, okay.
That was not Justin Bieber.
Okay.
He sings the second verse.
It is like super, super nice outside. So if you are out in your car and making us a part of your afternoon, we appreciate that. Annie will hopefully be back tomorrow. She just got a really sore throat today. 81, supposed to be the high today. Tomorrow, 88. I mean, we've gone from it's barely spring to it is now summer.
And
88 is too hot.
It didn't even really feel like it was spring. Well,
because
in the
it's
sense
rained
that
so
it's
much.
rained so much, you haven't really gotten that true spring, like I guess warm-ish weather where it's kind of in the middle, but it's not hot. You haven't really gotten that, but you have gotten the part of spring where you get all the showers. We've had a lot of showers.
I'll tell you what, it has rained so much. I think I saw that we had a historically wet April.
We did.
And I was looking out the window here behind me. We're on the 3rd floor here, so we get to look down over a park here in St. Louis.
Beautiful park.
And sometimes there are people in it doing things that you shouldn't do.
That's what makes it beautiful, because people are beautiful.
No matter what they do.
No matter what they do.
I don't think that's true, especially what they're doing yesterday. I was looking out that window just a couple minutes ago, and I was like, did somebody just drive around in the park because there were tire tracks? I think it was just the mowers, because it's that wet.
Like that. Yeah, when it gets wet, it's like that. So
yeah,
but you will see that, throughout St. Louis, the tire marks in the middle of the road.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I just don't think that's what happened.
Like, I know. Like, I mean, like, there's one. I was walking back from the Post Malone concert last night.
Did you go?
I did. It was phenomenal. I had an absolute blast. But there was, in the middle of the road, like, donut circles just right here on Tucker. I'm like, what are people doing in the middle of these streets?
They're just doing donuts.
Yeah,
They're just having fun. Ready?
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins.
Not Wiggins America. Ethan's America. Ethan's America.
I will never, at any point in my life, be able to listen to that and not be like, I hate you, Ryan Wiggins.
Short story on that. Whenever I'm out, Ethan's in, but usually it's when I'm gone and Ethan's filling in. So the idea was that I was supposed to make an open for Wiggins America for when I'm not here for Ethan. But so far, it's just been when I am here to play it for you.
It's just amazing.
To double the humor, the whole idea that I was starting to go for was that it's, what, better, younger, and what was the other thing? There's another word.
Smarter.
Better, younger, and smarter.
And I chose the opposite
And you
direction.
chose the opposite.
Constant disappointment.
Yeah. You set me up well.
You said this morning that your allergies were acting up. Mine are too, but that's nothing new. I have allergies all the time. Are yours just like suddenly hitting you now?
Mine tend to get pretty bad in the season changes once the spring hits, and then once you get to the fall, it's not as bad. But the spring tends to be really bad for me, and it's usually with my eyes. I will say this has been the best year as far as allergies go that I have had in 15 years probably. And I think I'm probably just like, I think to a certain extent I'm building a tolerance with just how much I'm very careful at not touching my eyes and some of those things, and I used to not be as good at that. But anyway, it does tend to be pretty bad, I feel like, at this time of year. And they were mowing outside of my apartment complex this morning, and as soon as I walked outside, I started sneezing.
Is it the grass that really gives it to you?
I think so. And maybe it has to do too with I'm outside the least you're not outside as much because I'm working now.
Take ragweed, just rub it on your face.
Yeah, get used to it.
That helps.
Build up a tolerance.
Thank you. I appreciate you both. So anyway, in honor of the terrible allergy season that happens, I feel like in St. Louis, and we were talking about this earlier as well. Like, is it worse in St. Louis, or is that just an us thing? Us saying it's bad?
I think it is.
Why?
I think it's worse in St. Louis because we always complain about the humidity, and we are at the very bottom of the Mississippi Valley where this stuff settles more. Because I've been in higher climates, and there's just not as much stuff in the air that gets to you.
Ryan, the bottom of the Mississippi Valley would be in Mississippi because it's the bottom of the country.
But everything drains to here. We're at a very low elevation.
That was a Ryan level humor joke. That was so bad. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so in order to take care of all my people out there who go through it every spring and fall with the allergies, me personally, came up with an article titled 8 Ways to Beat Your Allergies This Season. Reason number 1, know when allergy season starts in your area.
Ooh, that's important. You got to know when allergies are.
I don't take medicine year round. I only take it when it gets bad. But I feel like if you even are a couple of days behind, it's not like
it does take some time for it to build up a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's a sudden or like a slow creeping thing for me. It feels like it's just like they're not there one day and then ambush. Yep. I have been hit with them. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, learn which seasonal allergies affect you. Find out exactly what type of pollen gets you sneezing. If you're not sure, that says to ask your doctor.
Have you ever had the test done where they poke your back?
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah. They give you all different little things of what you might be allergic to, and then they measure the size of the welt that appears.
What?
Yeah, on a needle. They just poke your back with, like, they make a grid on your back, and they poke you with all the different things you could be allergic to.
I don't like getting poked.
And then depending on how big it swells up, they know, oh, that one's pretty bad. That's how it works.
Oh, man, I'm kind of intrigued, but like I said, I don't really like getting poked. So the next one, start taking your allergy medicine before the season. We kind of mentioned that
Like
one
you
with
said.
reason number 1. Number 4, limit your pollen exposure once the season starts. So, try to stay indoors when it starts climbing, especially on windy days. Windy days are the worst because that pollen is just going all over the place. Reason number 5, ban allergy triggers from your house. And I'm like, what the heck are allergy triggers? It says you don't need to go outside to necessarily set off your allergies. Pollen can often find its way inside of your house, and one way is through open windows and doors, so try to keep those closed during the season when possible. You might also have it on your shoes and clothes. You could bring it in to the house without even realizing. Take off your shoes when you come inside and put your clothes in the laundry room. Also, wipe down your pets if you have them when you
Wipe down your pets.
Wipe them down. Come here, old Snickers.
Did you? Is your dog named Snickers? Did you ever take your clothes off, like coming in the house for COVID? This is a weird question.
Yeah, it did start off weird.
You ever take your clothes off in public for money?
Just when you come in the house, just strip
You
right
should
down.
have seen what I saw last night at Post Malone. No, I'm kidding. No, I did not.
There was a very brief period where my wife was like, look, we have to make sure we don't get this. It was so early on that nobody knew what they were doing. And I was like, this is crazy, but I'll do it just to pacify you.
We did a lot of stupid things.
We did a lot of dumb stuff.
Okay, final 3 things here before we wrap in a couple of seconds. Rinse out your nose. Try acupuncture, which you just mentioned.
I think that's separate, but yes, I understand.
Acupuncture is a treatment. That's
you guys
a
are
test.
Poke.
Yep.
And then the last one, if your allergy medicine doesn't work, move on. Try something else. That seems.
That's a good one because like I used to take Claritin and Claritin just stopped working
Didn't
for me,
work.
so I had to move
On to the
something
next
else.
thing, yeah. Don't go through the suffering.
Thank you, Ethan. That was, I guess, somewhat disappointing, but not terrible.
Oh, that was informative.
It was informative. Thank you very much.
The people will decide.
Although we kind of informed you more on the back stuff, so.
Shut up.
Anyway,
Go on.
Joe Concha's coming up next.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
May is a great time to exercise your Second Amendment rights at the Range St. Louis West. If you're a member this month, they're going to double the discount on firearms from 5 to 10%. Membership has its privileges, and accessories are always 10% off, ammo 10% off, classes 15% off. You get free lanes and free rentals with over 120 firearms on the range. Check them out at 14803 Manchester Road or shop online at therangestl.com.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Cabinet secretaries on the defense. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, and a string of congressional hearings on budget proposals.
Can we trust you? If we put money into the budget for you, you're going to spend it the way we've directed it.
Yes, that's what the law requires.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. facing questions from Florida Congresswoman Lois Frankel and other Democrats on funding and staffing cuts. Kennedy insisting no key health programs are affected, also telling lawmakers he would probably vaccinate a child for measles if he had a child today, but he also says his opinions about vaccines are irrelevant. Deportations and due process dominating the latest House hearing for the Homeland Security chief.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was asked by Congressman Clay Higgins for an update on the 300,000 migrant children the prior administration lost track of.
We have located and returned over 5,000 of them to their homes and to their families.
Democrats accused Noem of deporting people without giving proper due process, including Kilmar Abrego Garcia, but also, according to Democratic Congressman Seth Magaziner, U.S. citizen children.
You have been sloppy. Your department has been sloppy, and instead of focusing on real criminals, you have allowed innocent children to be deported while you fly around the country playing dress up for the cameras.
Noem said in 2 cases, illegal alien mothers who were deported chose to keep their U.S. citizen children with them.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, a federal judge just ordering that a Georgetown scholar from India be released from detention as an immigration case proceeds. One of the students accused by the Trump administration of supporting Hamas. President Trump just arriving at the palace in Doha, Qatar for a state dinner. A ceremony as the emir greeted him outside a short time ago, hours after they signed economic agreements on day 2 of the president's Mideast trip. America is listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No question, with the southwest flow, temperatures have been on the rise. Mostly sunny skies going through our Wednesday afternoon. Will top out at about 85. Very mild tonight, only 68 for the overnight low. Thursday, kind of a hot day, partly to mostly sunny skies, breezy from the southwest. 93, the record is 94 from 1944. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, here's the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Andy's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Manny Fry Show.
I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
no.
I can't. This is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was.
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. In our 2020 lead today, President Trump's niece, who is a clinical psychologist, is calling on the American Psychiatric Association to drop the so-called Goldwater rule, which bars mental health professionals from diagnosing public figures that they have not examined in person. Mary Trump says that psychiatrists, quote, know what's wrong with my uncle. And she says it's time they tell voters. And Mary Trump joins us now. She's also the author of Too Much and Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man.
Well, amazingly, that is the topic of our poll today. How much of Jake Tapper's book about Joe Biden's decline will you read? Your options are 0% or literally any other percent. Joe Concha is our guest right now.
That's funny.
Hey, Joe.
0
How you doing?
1, huh?
0 or 1% plus any more percent than that.
Wow. I say to your 99% chance that you buy my book, The Greatest Comeback Ever Inside Donald Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, or buy my first book, which was called Come On Man, The Truth About Joe Biden's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Presidency that I wrote 3 years ago. 3. All right, about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And I didn't need White House sources to come to that conclusion. I needed, sight, hearing, sobriety, and sanity just to observe the man during the 2020 campaign. Forget the debate in 2024. and the fact that his brain turned applesauce some time ago, and now we have the media patting itself in the back saying, hey, we're covering the story now. Well, to quote John McClane in Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. We've been talking about this for years.
I love it. The fact that you literally wrote the book on this, because that's what we've been talking about all day. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, there's big news today, but I just can't get over. Joe, there's a segment we do every Friday called The Be or Not the Be, which we take articles that are real, and then we mix them in with articles from the Babylon Bee, and we just read the headline, and everybody in the room's got to decide, are they real or are they fake? If you had told me a year ago, or even recently, more recently than that Jake Tapper, after watching him for 4 years, was going to come out with a book on how the media was hiding this, I would have said for sure that's the Bee.
Right. That totally be, because you heard that interview he did with Laura Trump in 2020, where Laura, basically was saying that this guy is clearly going through a cognitive decline and he can't be anywhere near the Oval Office. And Jake Tapper not just pushed back, but did so in a Jake Tapper fashion that is patently pious and completely condescending. He says, it's a stutter, right? Well, that's interesting. My dad had a stutter, and my aunt currently has a stutter that she tries to work through. So I'm not bashing people with stutters, but at last check, the side effects of a stutter don't include talking to world leaders who have been dead for decades, doesn't include not knowing how to get off a stage, doesn't include falling off bikes or falling up the stairs at Air Force One, doesn't include not remembering the names of your own cabinet members, and doesn't include, if you're the president of the United States, needing hand-picked reporters given to you on a list that you can only call upon, and if you call anybody else, then you have to say this mandatory line, you're going to get me in trouble. Overall, everybody knew what happened to Joe Biden years ago. It was obvious, and now anybody who's – I can't hear cover-up, by the way, anymore, because that was the worst cover-up of all time. I don't want to hear bombshell, because we knew this, guys. We've been talking about this. But it is dominating the news today, and unfortunately Tapper's going to make a boatload of money off of this from all the free publicity, and it's a whole bowl of wrong because he led the cabal that denied that Joe Biden was in decline.
I mean, we're totally falling into this. This is YouTube's live chat poll today is about the book. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. Yes, he's getting a ton of free press, but do you think that he knows how ridiculous it is? Is like, I don't care. I'm going to make $1 million on this book.
I think that he'd have to have shame and integrity. And those two things are at a premium in the Tapper, orifice. So that's where we're at this point. I don't think he cares. I think, he makes a lot of money with CNN already. So, how many yachts can you water ski behind? If we're going to quote Wall Street now. But overall, I don't think he cares. I think in his bubble, that bubble over at CNN, he's being told he did a great job. And when Fox reached out to CNN to say, hey, doesn't he look kind of like a liar and a hypocrite in this situation? We didn't ask it that way, in a more professional way. They said, no, Jake has been reporting on Joe Biden's cognitive decline for years. You're like, okay, show me an example. Just show me one example. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm looking at an article right now written in Breitbart about you. I think kind of talking about your book. The title of the article, if you didn't know this was out there, is FNC's Concha. CNN, Tapper trying to rewrite history, profit off Biden book, which is what we're talking about today. And from an outside perspective, if you're just tuning into conservative talk radio, you're like, oh, they're talking about this. There we go. But this is really more important than just, oh, Jake Tapper is such a hypocrite. The phrase that I grabbed there, because I'm like, that's very true, is they're trying to rewrite history here.
That's the thing. And it was the same thing with, the Hunter Biden laptop, for example. And you got to see, Brian Stelter, right? I guess you can put Humpty Dumpty back together, despite the book that I've been reading to my kid. But, yeah, he would say, like, back in 2020, this is a right-wing media story. This is obviously a product of Russia. He said all these things. It's on tape. Like, literally, you could just play it back for him and say, you said this. And he would say, nope, never said it. I was asking questions. Like, that's always the thing, right? I was asking questions. I want to make sure that I understood the story. They could get away with this like they did with COVID, coming from a lab in Wuhan where everybody was called a conspiracy theorist. If you actually thought that, God forbid, a coronavirus came from a lab that studies coronaviruses at the origin of COVID. Yeah, that's kind of a logical conclusion at this point. It's like if there was a chocolate outbreak in Hershey, Pennsylvania, where do you think the chocolate came from? Maybe the friggin' chocolate factory. You ever think of that, guys? So overall, I think this rewriting of history, they try it, but social media is the great equalizer, especially X. They get called out for it. Stelter has all these clips out now talking about how great the reporting is around Biden's cognitive decline now because of this book, and then people just are sending him clips over and over again. Here's what you said. Here's what you reported at the time. You're a liar. So I think while they try to get away with it, radio shows like this and social media on X make sure that it doesn't happen, and that's what makes it a wonderful place.
Hey, Joe, this is Brad, by the way. You were saying, like just there at the end there, you were talking about how the radio shows and X have countered back this. Can the old media, can they actually ever win back the integrity that they had, or is that gone forever now?
Oh, Brad, it's a great question. And thanks, guys, for putting up with this horrible cold or whatever I have going on right now.
Well, that's what Annie's got, too. That's why she's not here, so.
Oh, Annie, too. Okay, yeah. It's going around. You're in St. Louis. I'm in Jersey, but this thing is airborne, no question. So sorry if my voice is a little bit off. But, Brad, to answer your question, it's kind of like if you were cheated on over and over and over again by the same girlfriend or the same boyfriend, and they say, no, you got to trust me this time. It's going to be different. It's not going to be different. No one trusts the media anymore. Let's put it this way. The two entities that are polling lowest in terms of approval are the Democratic Party and the media, right? Where they're polling below the approval of gas station sushi, which if you've had, trust me, that's not something that you'll trust very often. It's gas station, it's sushi, it's fish. It's probably not very fresh. The point is, I don't think they ever win anybody back. I think now it's a matter of everybody just tries to find their little niche in terms of like the AOC brand, right? Like AOC is popular and she has these great rallies for a very small part of the Democratic Party that's very, very far left. I think then CNN's going to appeal to those on the left, MSNBC to the far left, New York Times, same thing. Fox News, at least, we have a news division where we report things fairly and accurately through the Brett Baiers and the Harris Faulkners and the Bill Hemmers of the world. But we also have an opinion side that, yes, does lean right. Of course, I'm making a very obvious statement. But in the end, at least we have some balance. These other places are just going to full bore to the left and just take in how many people they can get and just say, all right, good enough. They don't care about the truth. They just care about serving the Democratic Party now at this point, unfortunately.
Joe Concha on with us, Fox News contributor, but also the author. We talked about your first book a little bit. Let's talk about your new book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. It is available now. We talked about this, well, we, as in Annie, I'm usually in the room, but she's talking to you. We talked about this book with you, the last couple weeks, I think. And one of the things you mentioned that I was listening to that I thought, I'd really like to know more about that, is that you talked to President Trump. And he is, completely aware of you. He I don't know if you call him a fan or not, but that'd be cool if you did. But he was willing to sit down and talk with you about the greatest comeback in American political history. I mean, that's cool just to be able to talk to the guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. I don't know what to say. I mean, in the book we talked about the Al Smith dinner and how Kamala Harris blew it off, right, and sent a video instead, and she got booed out of the room in Manhattan, which is hard to do. But Trump, killed it that night, right? He said, Democrats keep telling me that there are more than two genders. And I didn't believe them until I met Tim Walz. I mean, that's funny.
It is good.
Boom, the delivery was perfect. That's the first time I've been to Manhattan in some time where I wasn't served a subpoena. That's funny, right? So when I spoke to him, it was a little bit more of a serious interview, of course. But what I wanted to talk about, guys, was the first assassination attempt and why he got up. When he was down, he knows he's hit. There's blood on his face, Secret Service on top of him. I know what I would do. I would say, get me the hell out of here. I'll keep my head down. You guys all cover me and throw me in the back of the first car. I know myself. I would just do that. I know it sounds cowardly, but I know myself. Donald Trump, however, said, and he told me this during the interview, I said, so what made you want to reemerge and stand above your Secret Service when there could be a second shooter? You don't know if you're completely safe. He said, I knew my family was watching. My youngest son was watching. My wife was watching. The country was watching. And if I knew if I went on that stretcher on the stage, and I never heard there was a stretcher before, but apparently there was, and that was the first time I ever heard that. He revealed that in the interview. They wanted me to go on the stretcher. I said, no way in hell am I going on that thing. I'm walking off here. I'm showing strength. I'm showing this movement won't be stopped, and I wanted to let my family know and the country know that I was okay, and we're going to keep moving forward. I'm like, oh, my gosh. I wouldn't have done that, but you did. And that's what makes the book special because you're going to hear some things and read some things. My 9-year-old, I'll leave it here because I know there's a long answer, said to me, Daddy, why would anybody buy the book when they know the ending? I go, the kid has a good point. We know he wins, right? Smart kid. He gets A's. And I said, well, we watched Titanic a week or two ago, which we did, and we knew Titanic was going down before the film, but we still watched it because we want to know the how and the why and the backstory. And that's what this book gives, the how and the why and the backstory, because the Trump campaign gave me incredible access. I was on the plane. I interviewed the president. I was backstage at rallies, including one in Wildwood, New Jersey, where I thought security was horrible. And sure enough, 2 months later, the president was nearly killed. So I think that's why you buy the book, because you're going to find out the hows and the whys in terms of what happened during this incredible campaign, which we will never see again in our lifetimes. That I do know.
Yeah, it's very true what you said about even Titanic. I mean, we just watched the movie Miracle last week, and it's the same,
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, we know the end of the movie, but my kids have never seen it, and so we just wanted to watch it. It's the same here where, we know President Trump wins, but we're in the middle of this right now. I mean, this is, in a sense, we have, I'm sure you have a nice, ending to the book because, yes, it's about the campaign, the big, beautiful campaign, but we're still in the midst of this as a nation. We're barely halfway through the Trump presidency of 8 years anyway. And I wonder, Joe, if we're in a moment, you having access, you probably have a little more insight into this. If we're in a moment in history right now that people really will be looking back on and looking back at books like yours, the greatest comeback ever, and saying, I want to know more about that period in history. It feels like we're there.
Yeah, we are there. It's such a great observation. Do you guys have a heart out, by the way?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Anyway, yeah, look at what's gone on over the last week with this president, for example. Just as a microcosm, let's see. Secures a trade deal with the UK. Better trade deal. A better trade deal with China. Edon Alexander, Jersey guy like me, he's coming home. Last American hostage. Now he's freed. We have ceasefires between India and Pakistan, which really could have been messy because they have nuclear weapons and hate each other, so that's good. Obviously, now we have the investment from Saudi Arabia, $600 billion. We have another $1.2 trillion coming in from Qatar. And just all these wins, incredible. 99% drop in border crossings without 1 inch of wall being built in addition to what's there. I could go on, but if he passes this big, beautiful bill in Congress and through the Senate, which looks like that will happen, and then the tariff trade war he ends up winning, you tell me, what do Democrats run on exactly besides we think men should play against women in sports and we voted against the Lake and Riley Act? I don't know. And that's a party that's going to be in big trouble for a long time. When AOC is considered one of your top nominees for 2028, she could lose 51 states, which mathematically is impossible. It could happen.
Well, hold on. Canada's not made up their mind yet.
Well,
so
you got a
Greenland,
point.
yeah.
I'll take Canada. You got 3 teams left in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, my gosh. Don't tell us about that. Winnipeg beat us in Game 7. We're not happy
the Blues. That's right. You got your Stanley Cup a couple years ago. You got that monkey off your back. So good for you guys. I love your uniforms. They're the best.
Thank you. We agree. We wanted more than one Stanley Cup, though. Let me ask you this before we...
Was it more than one?
Well, we only have one. We just want more than one.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand. Yes, of course. I'm like,
Yeah.
they never won one before. Okay, good. I used to be a sports writer, so I almost felt embarrassed. But thank you for that. All right, move on.
I actually need to pay attention more to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I have just completely disengaged after Game 7. I was so mad.
I'm a Devils fan. Trust me. Once your team's out,
yeah,
you're out.
right? And I can't decide whether to root for the team that beats me or not because I want them to die, but I also am like, yeah, but that would prove that we're pretty good if they win. So let me ask you this before we run. And we have no timeout, so take as much time as you need here.
Awesome.
But the one story, I was looking at this morning, the story that's not really being reported enough is how much, because the tariff thing is a huge story. Everybody's talking about tariffs.
Yeah.
So much investment has been at least committed. We don't know if it'll all pan out. I mean, hopefully it will. But there are so many companies committing billions and billions of dollars, sometimes tens of billions, hundreds of billions, $500 billion at times with Apple. That is going to change the economy of the nation. And that is just not being talked about, right, Joe?
No, not at all. And it's, again, our media ignores the good stuff about Trump and concentrates on the plane. He was given a plane. It's going to be bugged. It's going to be Air Force One standards take years for a plane like that to become Air Force One, well beyond Trump being in office, and it's going to his library anyway. So they focus on literally the shiny object, but you talk about SoftBank, you talk about Apple, you talk about all these companies are saying we're going to invest in America again. That means more jobs. And here's why, if you read the book, at one point in October 17th, I want to say the day was, I'm on Sean Hannity's TV show, and I declare that Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to win easily. Play back the tape if I'm wrong. I literally said this. This is how this ends. And Sean's like, wow, you're awfully bullish. Everybody says this will be close. I go, it won't be close. It will be in the sense where he's going to win a couple of swing states by 1 or 2 points, but overall, you're going to know who won by early Wednesday morning. And sure enough, I was right. And look, again, I thought the Chiefs would beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, so I'm not very good at predictions. So fine, no problem. I like the Battlehawks to win the UFL championship, but that's another one.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, my team. Trust me, I love Beck. He's awesome. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, the reason why I knew this was because the Teamsters had this poll that showed that Joe Biden was up by 10 points over Donald Trump. Okay, I get it. He's like the union guy, whatever. He leaves. They put in Kamala. Trump by 30 over Kamala among the Teamsters.
Wow.
Which means auto workers, U.S. Steel, restaurant workers. They're with him also. They lose that vote. They lose the black vote to the degree that they did. Latino vote. What's left? The childless, cat ladies. Like, that's it. Like, who's going to vote for Kamala? And sure enough, that's how it turned out. So, yeah, we're witnessing a moment in time here with Donald Trump. The second 100 days where Democrats could be put out to pasture for many, many years because I don't know who their leader is. I don't know who they're going to put up. You got Pete Buttigieg growing beards. It's all bad. Trust me.
Joe, I said that was the last question, but hopefully I'm not keeping you too long here.
No, keep going.
But in your book, last question about your book here.
Okay.
The greatest comeback ever. I'm plugging it for you because I really think this is a cool topic. And the fact that you got to sit with him. When you talked with him and you talked about that moment, the shot heard around the world, whatever you want to call it, is he a different guy after that? I mean, did you get that sense?
Yeah. Oh, totally. I was at the RNC in Milwaukee 2 days after this happened, which is incredible. Again, that's what the book kind of like encapsulates. You forget he was shot on a Saturday, and he's at the RNC on a Monday with a big ear bandage, and he has his granddaughter on his lap, right? And he's happy. And you see Trump smile a lot more. During the 2020 campaign, he didn't smile a lot because how can you? Everybody was miserable because of COVID. In a fair fight, if there's no COVID, Donald Trump waxes Joe Biden completely off the floor because the economy was good and we had peace. So you have those two things as an incumbent, you're going to win, right? But he couldn't run the rallies he wanted to, couldn't run the campaign he wanted to. Now he appreciated where he was, right? As far as like, I survived this assassination attempt. I'm about to be the nominee again, third time in a row. And if I get back to the Oval Office, I could do the things I really wanted to do my first term. But now I have a team around me, my cabinet, that will make sure that happens when I didn't have that the first time around, or I didn't have Mitch McConnell as the Senate Majority Leader, for example, or Paul Ryan as the House, as far as the Speaker of the House. So he has his team. He has his agenda. He knows what to do. He's not picking the small fights anymore with the media and all that stuff. Confident guy, happy guy. After the assassination, you saw that at the RNC and moving forward with McDonald's, the garbage truck. I mean, you could tell who was winning by who was having fun. Trump was. Kamala, not so much. Campaigning with Liz Cheney. That's your closing argument. Wow, what a dumb campaign that was.
And it's still true. I mean, it's nice to be able to be on the winning side. Of course, you're having more fun when you're on the winning side, but it is evident to everybody watching politics that the Republicans are having more fun right now than Democrats.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Because Republicans were the stuffy old white guys, right? Richest 1%.
Right.
Now, Democrats are the richest 1%, the party of war, the party of censorship, the party of all these things that Americans don't like, and Republicans are like the cool ones. And all I remember is Tom Brady, back in 2016, had a MAGA hat in his locker, and a reporter saw it and tried to shame him, like, what are you doing with that? Are you going to apologize for having that MAGA hat? And Brady's like, it was an event. It was given to me. It's in my locker. No big deal. He played it off, which was, the smart thing to do at the time. Now you see NFL players doing the MAGA dance, LPGA MAGA dance, people wearing – I was in Beverly Hills last week for a speech. They're wearing MAGA hats in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And Trump won Beverly Hills by 5 points, which is insane in California. So, yeah, it's a different world. The culture is changing, and Democrats have no answers right now. And I don't know who that person is to come forward. Who, J.B. Pritzker, Illinois, not too far from you guys. Jackie Gleason, or whoever you want to call him. That guy? He's going to bring you forward? Fred Flintstone? I don't think so. Fred Flintstone. I like that better.
No, Jackie Gleason.
Great.
I mean, that's definitely not going to win over the youth vote like we were just talking about. But
no, the fat vote maybe, but not the youth vote. I didn't mean that.
No, you're
sorry.
good. Joe Concha, I really appreciate just everything that you do, and I'm glad I got to talk to you today. Unfortunately, Annie is out, but thank you for making time for us anyway.
This was like a podcast. We went like a Rogan kind of long time. So
yeah, you just want to come back in the next hour and do another 30 minutes? Is that cool?
Yeah, I'll co-host. Why not?
Sure. All right.
You got to pay me, of course. Talk to your program director.
I will.
I'm kidding.
I will.
Now I got to do another thing. But guys, let's do this next week, all right?
That sounds great.
Fun.
Joe Concha, appreciate your time. And again, his book is The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big, Beautiful Campaign, available now. And you see him on Fox News all the time, Joe Concha. Well, when we come back, I don't know. Should we talk about a possible conspiracy theory here? I'm reading a story from the New York Times. So, it's from several sources. So I did my research on this. And if you want to stick around and see what this is about, I encourage you to do so because it's a really crazy story from a former George H.W. Bush official. I got your attention? All right, we'll stick around.
Oh, what you know, Joe? I don't know.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
What you know, Joe?
Ain't conniving, just ain't jiving. I don't know.
What you know, Joe?
Well,
Love Talk Radio? We want to hear from you.
Help shape the future of your favorite shows right here in St. Louis. Tell us what you love, what you skip, and what you want more of, because your voice matters. You'll be helping us make better radio for you and the entire St. Louis community. It's easy to sign up, and selected panelists will receive a special gift as a thank you. Visit 971talk.com/feedback to join the conversation today. That's 971talk.com/feedback.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number, 314-947-2012.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and be ready for the first heat wave. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Cool talking with Joe Concha. Has he ever done stand-up? Because he is really fast. He's quick and funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I was looking up his bio, and I was trying to find if he had ever done it. It just says that he is a media and political columnist, which means he's a writer.
Yeah.
I mean, I already knew this, but I was trying to find, like, did he try this in the past? Like, Kilmeade has said before that he I don't know how long he tried it, but that he was trying to become a stand-up comedian for a while. And I don't know, if he really stuck with it, but you can tell that he really appreciates talking to really good comedians when he has them on. And Joe Concha seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I think he could do it if he wanted to. But he's got his own thing going on. Maybe he wants to, maybe he doesn't. Tyrus does a great job with stand up. Seen his show.
Yeah, his route is so unique.
Oh yeah,
I mean, to be where he's at now. It's funny though, because I think I get more people mentioning the people we talk to than I used to anyway. I mean, it's obviously people come up to us and they know that what we do on the show and they like certain aspects of things. But more than ever, people will mention to me, "Oh, I love it when you talk to Joe Concha or Tyrus specifically, or the comedians of Gutfeld." People really love those guys.
Yeah, Joe DeVito was on Friday, and Friday night, Terry and I went to his show, and
you get to go to all. You don't like.
Listen,
we don't have our Friday nights.
Yeah,
open.
if you had your Friday nights open,
I totally. Go.
I would absolutely. You know, Ron would hook you up. You would be able to go. They would make sure you would have a spot to go see the show. You know, these Gutfeld comedians sell out these places. It is wild. You go to the show, and usually Terry and I, because it's streets of St. Charles or Westport. You know, that's a little bit more of a drive for her and I because we, like you, we live over in Illinois. So we'll go to the second show of the night. And you'll get there and people start lining up. And so I want to make sure that I get there in time so I can be in the front of the line so I can get a good seat. Because
you can get tickets ahead of time, though, right?
Yeah, you get tickets ahead of time.
Your situation's a little different.
Well, you get tickets ahead of time, but it's general admission.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
So you want to get there and make sure, like, you can sit.
Do you like sitting up front?
I like sitting up front. The only comedian that ever said anything to me was
Jamie Lissow?
No, it was the one right before, like that used me as a bit.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know this.
It was what's his name? The guy that did the Trump impression.
Jonathan Kite?
Yes.
Oh, he
So
did?
he saw me. And
I
then
didn't know this.
Yeah, he's like, all right, who's out there drinking? And I look down at my Diet Pepsi, and he's like, this guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, and then he made fun of me a little bit, and it's like, that's the first time. And
Jamie Lissow, he didn't. No, so all of us went to Lissow.
Yeah, Lissow's great.
And I don't think that he called us out specifically.
No.
But he did. Now, he did because he was on the show.
Right.
We said, because you and Annie had already seen him. I hadn't at that point.
Yeah.
And you guys said, we saw you last time you were in town. And he said after that show that we were rattling him a little bit because we had heard that set. And he's like, I had to really dig deep and make sure that I did not repeat anything, which a good comedian can do. A sort of a written out comedian, they're going to stick with what they do over and over. But a lot of these guys, they riff so well that they're able to just pull and go and pull and go and pull and go. And that's the ones that I really like talking to in studio.
Yeah, and I also like whenever you go to a show and you'll see that they're like, all right, I'm going to try some new stuff here. And I love when a comedian tries out new stuff because it's a little edgy. Sometimes it's a little like not polished, but it hits. You get the idea. You know what they're going for. They haven't perfected the delivery, and sometimes whenever they perfect their delivery, they lose a little bit of the organic nature of the joke.
That you can tell that they're enjoying it more.
Yeah, and when they start hitting it, it's like you're sitting down, like kind of like whenever you and I are having a conversation and Annie's in here and we all just start cracking up. It feels more like that, which makes it really cool to be that close to a comedian, because then it feels like, this is my buddy.
This is new stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, this is my buddy, and we're just having a conversation, and it's great. So
is that what Joe DeVito did?
That's what he did on that show that I went to. It was really cool.
He was trying out stuff?
Yeah, he was doing some new stuff, man.
I know that you told me a little bit right before we came into this of one of the jokes.
Yeah, I'm not telling that joke on there.
So he was going
yeah,
at it.
It's like, it was great, and he went extra long, and it was, like, all right, it's like kind of like he looked around and he's like, all right, we're all in this together, guys, let's do this. And it was an amazing show. And I love that.
You'd seen him before, though.
Yes,
right?
I've seen him every time he comes in. And like you were saying, Jamie Lissow was a little rattled or whatever.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have known it.
I didn't know.
He told us that.
Like, I wouldn't have noticed that anyway. Joe DeVito doesn't repeat any of his stuff. I mean, maybe he does one or two jokes or whatever, but it is like, you go in there and it's funny every time. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, I heard this bit or anything like that. It was fantastic.
A little behind the scenes. So that was just Friday that Joe DeVito was here. Gosh,
Friday.
That seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
He was here, and we knew he was coming in, of course, because we had already booked him. He was here for shows. And the odd thing is that Yakov Smirnoff was also here at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing press, and they had appeared, I think Joe DeVito and Yakov had appeared on Fox 2 that morning together. And so they were here, and we were like, oh no, but their shows were at the same time. And so we're like, well, we got to talk to Joe because we know Joe.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it was weird, like having to say, well, Yakov Smirnoff's like a big name too, and he wanted to come on, but we're like, but we don't really know. We had to kind of make the decision with
Joe's
the guy.
Our guy.
Yeah, Joe's our guy. But I wanted to point this out too, because online here, Frank says that he went to see Tom Shalhoub, who's been in studio with us too. From
Tom Shalhoub's
Gutfeld.
great.
And Frank says, Tom Shalhoub pointed me out at the Funny Bone for being one of the only unmarried persons in the building. What was that like? Did he go long on that, Frank? Let us know. But anyway, I wanted to, I know we went way off topic here, and I'm going to get to this just because I said I was going to, and I'm going to stick to those teases. I'm going to do it. Bush official, this comes from the New York Post. Bush official claims the U.S. built a secret $21 trillion underground city for rich and powerful people to live if a near extinction event happens. Have you heard anything about this?
No. Who says this?
New York Post.
So this is...
I looked this lady up. She legit was the HUD director, the assistant HUD director under George W. Bush for about 2 years.
When did they
George H.W. Bush,
When did they say they built this?
Her name is Catherine Austin Fitz, Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, 1989 to 1990. She made the shocking allegations during an appearance on former Fox News host Tucker Carlson's podcast recently.
Okay.
Although it says in the article there's no concrete evidence to support her claim, she was in a position to know some of these things. And she says that she first began investigating this report after seeing that the Army had a $6.5 trillion unsupported adjustment in spending. And she goes, wait a minute. And she said this was
$6.5 trillion?
Yes. $6.5 trillion.
Deficit?
I know. That's why this is like, what? Because this isn't just some rando. She was there. She says there was a $6.5 trillion, basically random, line item.
Yeah.
And she goes, wait a minute.
What this money for?
She says, quote, given the Army's $122 billion budget, $122 billion is their whole budget, that meant that this one unsupported adjustment, as they call it, was 54 times bigger than the spending authorized by Congress. So she assumed, this actually is supposed to say $6.5 billion.
Right.
She's like, it's just a mistype.
It's a rounding error.
So no, not quite that. So she looked it up and she said, wait a minute. No, this actually is $6.5 trillion. So she started looking into this, and according to Fitz, who worked as an investment banker before joining Bush's administration, that money was used to fund the development of what she described as an underground base, city infrastructure, and transportation system that has been kept hidden from the public.
Right, like I'm breaking news here, guys.
What do you make of that?
You ever seen The Kingsman?
No.
Yeah, okay, so the premise of the first Kingsman movie is that there's this independent, secret agency, the Kingsman. And this rich billionaire tycoon says global warming is going to destroy the world, so he invents this tone that makes people go crazy and kill one another. And then he goes around.
Like a cool movie.
Yeah, to cull the population. And then he goes around to all these rich people to try to get them to agree to this. And then he has his own bunker set up in this mountain. And you watch these movies, it's kind of fantastical because it's a spy movie, and it's if somebody told me The Kingsman was a comic book, I would believe them. It might just be a regular book. I haven't looked into that. I love the movies and the series. But I always look at that stuff and I go, what if?
What if?
And that's exactly what you're describing there. Now, I don't know how accurate this is. You hear some stuff on podcasts and stuff like that, and you go, I don't know. But it is fascinating. And it's also close enough to being real that if you found out it was real, you go, checks out. You wouldn't be like, there's no way. What makes it so intriguing is I could actually see this being real.
If this were just an investigative journalist, I'd say, you don't know. But she was in the HUD office, and she goes on. I mean, this actually gets a little bit deeper than that. I was going to stop there, but I might as well now. She told Tucker Carlson that she spent 2 years researching where the, not $6.5 trillion, but $21 trillion total, because that was just one item she found.
Wow.
It was part of a bigger budget that she found. There was $21 trillion. She was looking to see where it had gone, alleging that she had uncovered evidence that there are 170 secret facilities in the U.S. alone. Underground facilities.
So they built multiple ones.
Explaining that she had a team of investigators within her office combing through all the data and all the allegations on these underground bases in order to make a guess as to how many might exist. She alleges that several of these bases are located beneath oceans, not just underground, but that most of them are within the boundaries of the U.S. or are ocean boundaries as well.
Yeah.
We systematically went through and tried to guess or estimate, this is totally a guess, she says, of how many underground bases there are, both underground in the United States, but also underground around the oceans of the United States. And our estimate was 170 with a transportation network connecting them. I mean, what? Wow.
See, the more you read into that, with the more details I go, I don't know.
I mean, I agree with you, except that she has the credentials. This was her stuff. I mean, that's budgets, that's housing, urban development. That's coming from, that's why she's seeing it, is because that's the position she had.
She has the credentials. It's the government, and the government wouldn't lie to you, would they, Ryan?
Now you're asking the questions.
They wouldn't lie to you.
Now you're asking. Here's
somebody who worked in the government wouldn't lie to you, would they?
Here's the main reason I don't trust that this is true. Because you have a guy in office right now who would hear about that.
Go, what's this?
And no. That's not the way he would do it. The way he would do it, he'd go, oh, yeah, 170 underground cities all with a connection between them. Oh, that's crazy. I can't believe all this stuff that's going on. And he'd just be talking about Doge, or he'd be talking about the Middle East. Yeah, I just got back from Syria. It's been an amazing trip. Talked to the leader of Saudi Arabia. Not a lot of underground cities there. I heard about all the underground cities we have here. We got like 170 of them. They don't have those there though. They spend their money a little bit smarter than we do. That's why we're doing Doge. This is the reason we're doing Elon Musk. A great guy, Starlink. Really good guy. He went on with on me on that trip. We're looking at a lot of stuff. We're really looking to bring some investment back with these tariffs. Like, he would just drop it in a way that you go, wait a minute, what did you just say?
Everybody stop. Go back.
Yeah, and he's never done that. So if any of the conspiracy theories are true, he would spill the beans in some way about them, and it's why I don't think we know anything about aliens or Bigfoot or anything else, because he'd just be out there mentioning it.
Yeah, because he isn't talking about it. That isn't a real thing for us.
Right. Or the other option is that these are things, but they're just not telling him. So we got to root out the deep state who's been holding these things, and that's a bigger issue, because in his first term, we know for sure that there were military operations and General Milley and all these people that were withholding things from him. So it's possible that he doesn't know about some of this stuff. But the people he's got in charge now, they're rooting that out. And by the end of this 4 years, if we don't know anything about the underground cities by then, okay, I'll say it doesn't exist. This is the Manny Fry Show. Annie is out today with a very sore throat. We hope she's back tomorrow. We will be right back.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. We've won the trust of thousands of clients who are victims of careless drivers. We have the team, the talent, and the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Well, Jake Tapper has a book out, and it's called Original Sin, and it's all about Biden's decline and how it was covered up. And what we want to know in today's YouTube live chat poll is how much of Jake Tapper's book are you going to read? Now, we only have 2 options here for you. The first option is 0%, and the second option is literally any other percent other than that. So jump on Annie's YouTube page, leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted, and vote in that poll. Get in the chat. The chat is popping. I'm watching it. There's a lot of people talking. We love to hear from you. We might star your comment and read it on air if you have a good one. So the time is 1:50, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
Tell me whether this is cool or uncool.
It's cool, the song, right?
No.
Oh.
I used to have a CD. Now, this song was on the CD.
Yes.
But this dates me because it was a CD.
Jock Jams.
No. Although it's close to that.
Okay.
I had a CD that I made that I pulled all kinds of songs from different CDs. I probably
like
downloaded
Ryan's
them.
Wild Mixtape.
Yeah, this is back in 2003 or something. No, it was a little bit before that because I was in college. And I just called it Arena. And it had every song on it that I could think of that was like a crowd pump-up song.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It wasn't for me to be pumped up. It was just that I thought it was a fun CD to have. And that one was on it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so was Who Let the Dogs Out, which was pretty new at that time.
Okay.
Y'all Ready for This?
Yeah.
That one. We play one. I think it's by Republica. You Ready to Go?
Ready to Go is on a lot of them, yeah.
That one. And then the typicals too. I mean, some of those are typical.
Like a song number 2 by Blur.
That one's on there. Yeah.
And then what's the Hey song?
Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on there. I'm trying to think. There's like 20 songs on there that are just, you associate them with 90s and 2000s sporting events.
Yeah.
It's like you go to games now and you don't hear those same songs, but they were perfect for that. And I don't know why they don't play those anymore. They're like cliche now.
Well, you get the whole stadium. Hey.
Yeah. Hey Ya was on there,
Yeah.
although that one's like borderline. I don't
Yeah.
know that one was a big like arena song, but it was definitely a crowd song. I was trying to think of what else was on there. Let us know in the chat if there's others that you're like, oh, that one has to be on there, or one that I should have had on there, and I'll let you know. But before we get to the top of the hour here, quick story. Again from the New York Post. Paranoid Kamala Harris aides held a mock soiree to practice her socializing skills.
I've heard this.
Have you?
Yes.
Can you believe that? Because I can. Aides to then Vice President Kamala Harris were so paranoid about her navigating social events that they held a mock soiree, whatever that is, ahead of an intimate D.C. dinner party.
It's a practice dinner.
But listen to this. It was in the spring of 2022. This wasn't even part of the campaign. They just knew she was that bad.
Yeah.
Like, you're just bad at it. According to a new book detailing the dysfunction of the Biden administration. And then we go into In Original Sin, co-authors Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper note that Harris advisors made it a literal dry run, deciding not to serve wine to see if the VP could practice with a glass or two. I mean, the poll today is about that book, and the more little things I read like that, I'm like, man, I kind of want to read that book.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I remember hearing about this back. It was probably 2022, 2023.
Yeah, that says spring of 22.
Like, on the deepest, darkest corners of
Right.
X. But
you're a conspiracy theorist.
Do you really think that Kamala Harris? Like, I don't believe. Like, it's fun to joke about it. I don't believe that Kamala Harris is like stupid. I don't think you can get to where she got by being stupid. But man, it's like she gets on the stage or in an event and she just locks up. And do you think it's like an anxiety thing, or what do you think her issue is? Because how do you?
It's a good question.
How do you do that?
I don't know. She's just not. This is the thing. It's fine to be the kind of person who's not great at that stuff.
Yeah.
There are probably way more people who are not good at that stuff than people who are. But when you get to the stage that you're on, now the vice president of the United States, and then running to be the president, you have to be good at that stuff. And I will say this, though, that Trump is unique in lots of ways. But one of them is that when he says something, he says it with 100% conviction that he is telling you the truth. And I've never seen anybody like that, because I'm always, I think most people are like this, trying to consider all the different ways in which what you're saying could be interpreted.
Right.
And he just doesn't seem to care.
No.
He is going to tell you, this is the way it is. And it's usually his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling you it like it's fact, and he convinces you that he might be right.
He's a great communicator. And like, don't sit there and think for a minute that he's just doing that happenstance. It's everything that he does is calculated. I cannot abide.
But it's also him, though.
Yes.
Yes, it's calculated. I'm sure
But
he
that's
knows what
who
he's
he
doing.
is.
But it's also just Donald Trump.
Yes.
I think he has the same conviction when talking about, which bowling ball to use.
Yes.
It's just who he is.
But you can't do what he did without your personality being that. And so I think it's amazing. He's able to get right at the heart of who people are and to know how to move them. And if he needs to, he can. So
People always think about what politicians will be like on the debate stage, but AOC is one of those that I don't even know what her debate style would be. It's more thinking about putting her foot in her mouth during the campaign, because she seems so easy to trip up with any, I don't even want to say hostile interview, but just an average interview that's not asking questions that are right down center lane for her. She would get so tripped up.
It's so different than what her bread and butter is, which is just the whole Instagram, social media, live. I'm
and
talking
she's good
to
at
you.
that.
Oh, she is amazing.
She's
at that.
really good at that. And there is a populist left that I think has some energy still, but they pick such bad issues to campaign on and to hit, and they cannot figure out. I mean, the oligarchy tour, I'm sorry, just looking at your jet fuel consumption, that just ruins your whole campaign, Bernie. Anyway, we'll be right back.
The warm weather may have you thinking about your backyard. Let's make it better this year with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention my name, Mark Cox, and get their special discount of the month for May, 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Now, they do free in-home estimates, no obligation, free project design. They've got an extensive digital photo gallery of completed projects if you don't have something specific in mind. They can do beautiful wood or vinyl fencing, same with their decks. Those vinyl decks are maintenance-free, and they're fantastic. And, of course, maybe you're considering a custom sunroom, a custom screen room, pergolas, patios, retaining walls. They can do it all, and having their sign in your yard is a sign that you have the very best. Be sure and check them out online and tell them that Mark Cox sent you so you can get that 48 months interest-free financing. Go to chesterfieldfence.com. Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, May 20th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and worried about the market volatility and losses at this stage in your life? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton on Tuesday, May 20th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Gets heated. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The nation's health secretary appealing to lawmakers to work together at hearings on his department's budget.
HHS Secretary RFK Jr. mostly avoided sharing his thoughts on vaccines during testimony before a House Appropriations Subcommittee, but did reveal one opinion when he was questioned by Democratic Congressman Mark Pocan.
If you had a child today, would you vaccinate that child for measles?
For measles, probably for measles. What I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant.
Kennedy was also asked about cuts to HHS, continuing to maintain that they have not affected key health programs. Last month, HHS began laying off about 10,000 workers.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, also on Capitol Hill defending her department's budget and mass deportation policies. She's also doubling down on accusations that some House Democrats assaulted agents at an ICE facility in New Jersey. Those lawmakers facing possible discipline in the House.
House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox News Radio Republicans are looking at what is appropriate for Democrats Robert Menendez, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, and LaMonica McIver.
I think it's pretty clear that the law was violated.
All three are from New Jersey and accused of rushing into an ICE detention center, which they argue was done to carry out their constitutional duty of oversight. Speaker Johnson says a censure is appropriate, and some Republicans aren't ruling out stripping members of their committee assignments or even expulsion, with Democrats believing that's excessive.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. Democrats accuse DHS of intimidation tactics. Just getting word the U.S. is issuing new Iran-related sanctions. This as President Trump continues a Mideast trip, just attending a state dinner in Qatar. America is listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No question with the southwest flow, temperatures have been on the rise. Mostly sunny skies going through our Wednesday afternoon. Will top out at about 85. Very mild tonight, only 68 for the overnight low. Thursday, kind of a hot day, partly to mostly sunny skies, breezy from the southwest. 93, the record is 94 from 1944. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Because it probably can be.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Manny Fry Show.
Oh, yeah, this show's got that energy. It's 2:05 here in the Midwest. The YouTube live chat poll today is a topic we've been talking about a lot. How much of Jake Tapper's book about Biden's decline will you read? And your options are 0% or any other percent. I remember in the 90s, I worked at a lot of golf courses, and we used to do bets based on Tiger Woods. And the bet was 50-50. Either you took Tiger Woods or you took everybody else.
Everybody else.
That's how good he was in the 90s.
Dude was a stud.
And so we kind of took that and made it into a YouTube live chat poll, but it's about Jake Tapper's book. So let us know what you think about that poll. We were talking about doing this topic for Wiggins America today, but I said, no, let's dive in a little deeper.
Let's dive in.
And give this its due time. So this is something that Brad has looked up. It's
I didn't go seeking it out.
You found it.
It came across my feed.
And it is a spiritual-leaning topic.
Yes.
Take it away.
Well, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw a tweet that says, report. Witches say their spells against Trump aren't working because he has a shield about him. And this, I was like, okay, what is going on here? Because, what is the deal with witchcraft? Ryan, where are you on witchcraft? Like, what are your thoughts about it? Because we'll get more into that as it goes on, but I'm just, initially, what are your thoughts?
I think some of it is goofy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, just like with a lot of things, if the best case scenario is it's people being posers. But if you get real and you start to consider like people actually dabbling into like dark arts and stuff and coming up with spells and dealing with demons, that's ultimately what they're doing, is they're calling on powers that exist. They wouldn't call them demons. They would just call them spirits and things like that. But ultimately, that's what they are.
So apparently witches are targeting Trump, and this article says
Why
targeting
they go after him?
Trump again. They said from people who just kind of dabble in it to all the way to hardcore practitioners that actually witchcraft has been on the rise in the U.S. in the recent years. It's a big popular thing on TikTok. There's a whole hashtag trending with it called Witch Talk.
That does not surprise me.
Where they get together and it's like that. I think people are always attracted to the obscure and the weird. And this is one of those things that, like, it really pulls people in, especially if they're not grounded in their faith, or even if they are, they're like, oh, that's interesting. Let me just peek behind the curtain over here. So it definitely grabs the attention of people. But the Toronto Star reported an example of, like, people leading up to the election, these witches would get together and they would try to hex Trump to prevent him from winning. And so there was one example where a group of about 100 witches got together and they were on Zoom. So it's a Zoom curse. Ooh. And they used orange candles, tarot cards, not so flattering photos. And they basically were trying to get together and cast a big spell to prevent Trump from getting to the White House. And the final words of their synchronized ritual was, what do you think they were?
I have no idea.
You're fired.
Oh.
Well, history would go on to show that didn't work.
Okay, I got to say, before you move on too far, this sounds really dumb.
It does. And like when I think about witches casting spells, I don't know. I'll talk about this after I get through some of this stuff because I will tell you what my thoughts are on it. But an ABC outlet in Alabama talked about witches writing on a Reddit forum that their spells won't work like before. Apparently, they were having success with their spells against Trump, and they're just not working like they did before.
I would like to know what the successful ones were.
Well, get this. This one said she believes that it's because many people are praying for Trump, and because they're praying for him, he has a shield about him.
So they acknowledge that they're fighting against God?
That kind of sounds like that. She says, a flimsy one, of course, but a shield nonetheless. It's like, lady, that is not a flimsy shield. If people are praying a shield and a hedge about Trump and God is answering those prayers, nothing gets through that unless God says okay. But she's like, I'm trying to figure out a way to create spells that can bypass it, but it's been difficult. So she's having difficulty getting around the quote-unquote flimsy spell.
Yeah, okay.
Your witchcraft is a little flimsy. Another posted to say this, I hate to say this, but I don't do magic against him. He has a form of protection surrounding him that feeds off of magic done against him. So she's saying the protection gets stronger the more people try magic against him.
What?
Yeah, this is wild. You'll have better results if you focus your magic on helping his opponent or protecting yourself from others. And then another thread on Reddit agreed that there appears to be something protecting him. Some other witches have mentioned that doing spells directly against Trump are not as effective and as we might hope, and he seems to have some kind of protection around him. Now, when you look at Donald Trump's campaign, he has talked more about God, and he's publicly acknowledged that God has protected his life on multiple occasions, especially since he was nearly assassinated in Butler. But witches are seem to be obsessed with hexing Trump, and it's like they go against him. And we were talking to Joe Concha a little bit about this, and it's like when you look at the Democrat Party who's left, and it's just like childless cat ladies, and I'm like, and witches.
What is it that they say what they hate about him so much?
I no, the article doesn't. The article's from CBN, by the way. It doesn't say that, but to me, the trendiness of witchcraft on social media, it young people believe it's just a harmless hobby, and I think you kind of talked about this. And a lot of stuff like this starts out that way, just starts out as some sort of harmless hobby. But I would caution you against it. It's not harmless. It's real. It might seem funny and hokey at the beginning, but if you really dive deep into it, and I had friends whenever I was in high school that were into the occult stuff, and I wasn't really a person of faith at the time. I didn't have that, but I watched them do things, and I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but if you reach out to me on Twitter, I'll tell you some of the stories, the stuff that I saw. There is a spiritual warfare that goes on out there, and things like witchcraft and stuff like that are nothing to be toyed with, nothing to be played with, because it can open the door to stuff that you aren't ready to handle. But I also look at witchcraft, and I think you guys are off your rocker, and I'm not afraid of it because I know that according to the scriptures, he who lives in me is greater than he who is in the world. There is nothing that can harm me as long as I have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. And a lot of you out there are like, what are you talking about? So when you become a Christian, the Holy Spirit comes and dwells within you and guides you in your life and helps train you and guide you in directions and stuff like that. But he's also your protector. And so I don't worry about this. And I look at this and I was like, oh, you're going to light orange candles and you're going to, use some tarot cards to come after me. I'm not scared of that at all. It looks goofy and hokey. But I could also say, don't play with that stuff because you might open up the door to things like demonic trouble that you don't want to have.
There's multiple ways you could approach this as a Christian.
Yeah.
Because if you're not a Christian, you probably are like, I don't even know. But with this kind of spiritual stuff, you can either take it way too seriously and think about it all the time, and like you're constantly thinking about, well, how do I avoid hexes and stuff and kind of over spiritualize everything. And the other way is to ignore it completely and say, no, none of it's real. Because the trouble is that, like, psychics are a good example of this. A psychic may just be highly decorated in some random room in their house, and you walk in and they just turn over some cards and they have some like incense and whatever. Like it's a presentation and it may be nothing. But at the same time, you're like, but if they find something that's not going to be from God, so why would I mess with it?
Right.
So the thing that stuck out to me about that article is orange candles.
Orange candles. I light this orange candle and put it right next to this ugly picture.
Like the demons are going, ooh, that candle's orange.
I
know what to do now.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, to me, these people doing this don't know that they're being deceived. They say, well, whenever I do this, whatever it is that I do, I see success or results whenever I do it, and therefore I'm going to keep doing it. It must be some sort of magic that I'm using, but they don't realize what is actually at play on the backside of it. And the demons are happy for people, the devil's happy for people to look ridiculous and silly.
Oh, yeah. Because then it kind of takes your guard down, too.
Yep.
If there's a spiritual vacuum in any culture, something will fill it.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if you're not feeding and it's a need for something bigger and greater than yourself. So if you're not feeding that, or at least giving somebody a framework for what you believe or what they might believe, they're going to fill it with something. And it's usually when they're teenagers, early 20s, when you really are searching for what's the meaning of everything.
Yes.
And that's why these TikTok things take off, is because there's so many people
Yeah.
who they don't know. They're just looking for something.
Well, and the people that are doing these TikTok things are incredibly interesting. This is something I haven't seen before. This is interesting to me.
Especially if there's any actual power behind it. That's super intriguing. Yeah. I can see why people get swept up in that.
Or even just like the promise of it, because like there are times in life where you just feel helpless. And so people look for anything that will be like, well, maybe this will give me an edge. Maybe this will help me get past whatever it is that I'm dealing with right now.
Not to mention the community that's involved. Makes you feel like you're belonging to something. That could really apply to any group, though. I pulled this up because I listened to some of it. This was like a week ago. So pardon me as we listen to this again. But Elon Musk was asked a question about Christianity, and I wanted to play that.
While I'm not a particularly religious person, I do believe that the teachings of Jesus are good and wise, and that there's tremendous wisdom in turn the other cheek. And for a while there, when I was saying, I thought, well, that's really a weak thing.
Yeah,
to do.
It can be.
If someone and with respect to bullies at school, I think you shouldn't turn the other cheek. You should punch them on the nose, and then thereafter make peace with them. But they need to stop bullying you, and a punch in the nose will stop that. And then thereafter, make peace. This notion of forgiveness is important. I think it's essential because if you don't forgive, then, as I forget who said it, but an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. If you're going to seek vengeance, and you have this never-ending cycle of vengeance. So I'm actually a big believer in the principles of Christianity. I think they're very good.
That is Elon Musk talking with Jordan Peterson, if you couldn't recognize the other voice there. And that conversation is really intriguing to me Because I know a lot of people who listen to, and I don't know if they still listen to him a lot, but they used to listen to Jordan Peterson a lot. And, he's with Daily Wire now. And so I think that this person that I know may have preceded when he was with the Daily Wire, but I think he still listens to him. And he always said, I don't know Jordan Peterson that much. I consume him through clips just like you probably do. But he always said that Jordan Peterson sounded to him like he was right on the verge of being Christian, but never would kind of walk through the door.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
What is that? How so?
So he will get out there and he will basically champion Christianity. He'll talk about all the teachings of Jesus, all the teachings of the scriptures, how this lines up with life, how it lines up with what we know about psychology and human development, and what the goals and the aims are trying to teach. And it's like he basically goes to the point of saying we as a society cannot exist without this sort of structure around us. And the only thing he doesn't do is just admit that he believes in Jesus as God and, everything. Credits everything. He's like, it's all really good, really solid, good teaching. But he just stops.
He's not quite, but it's not my,
Just short.
I'm outside looking in a little bit still. Does it surprise you to hear Elon Musk talking about that?
No. The reason I say that is truth is true no matter who says it. And so whenever you look at something like that, a smart, intelligent person like Elon Musk, and I think that's pretty straightforward. Elon Musk isn't an idiot. He's a smart, intelligent person. He can look at the truth and the teachings in Christianity and see how there are positive effects of it. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm having a conversation with somebody about faith is to ask them, especially somebody that's like opposed to it, and it's like, which teaching of Christianity do you find unappealing? Which one don't you like? Do you think it's good to forgive people? And generally, whenever you have this conversation with people, they do agree on 99% of what the scriptures teach about Jesus and forgiveness and loving your neighbor. And if somebody demands your cloak, you give them your robe to go along with it, and you walk the extra mile alongside of them, the Good Samaritan. They love all of that stuff. And that's because that stuff is true and it's real. And if you follow those teachings, you will have what God has promised you. So even a non-Christian can look at truth and recognize it as truth.
The approach to Christianity is different across the world. It depends on how you grew up, what your culture is, of course. In America, I find, and this is my personal opinion, that what you said is very true. That and I had a pastor say this once, and I think I was in college. He said, if you wrote all the attributes of Jesus up on a chalkboard and had somebody come in and go, you want these things? Everybody would go, yeah, I like those things. Those are good things. But if it's the minute you turn that, and this is very true of America and Christian, I think, the minute you say you can have all these things through Jesus, but you have to give up your sin, or you have to give up your will for your life. Basically.
Yourself.
Yes, exactly. Then people go, I want to be in charge, and that's really that's the threshold. And I don't know whether that's Jordan Peterson or Elon Musk, but for a lot of people, that's where it stops. Is you go, I like that stuff. That's good stuff. I like it for society. I wouldn't mind having it personally.
I want people to treat me that way.
Yeah, totally. But the minute it's like, but you do have to give something to him for it, which is yourself.
Yeah.
You go, I like being in charge of me.
Yeah.
You go, I don't know. So I've met a lot of people who are right there, and they never move from there. And unfortunately, they're just stuck right there. And it's a tough place to leave because you can see it. You feel like you're kind of a part of it, but you're not really there. Yeah. So it's a weird spot to be. Anyway, that's been, wow, we took a real turn there for that segment. Started with witches, ended with Elon Musk. By the way, you could go in some serious rabbit holes. Have you ever gone into the Elon Musk rabbit holes on YouTube? Oh my gosh. Like spiritual stuff. Oh man, about like what he's going to bring upon the world with the tech and Starlink and the Neuralink stuff. Wow, man, you can get deep into it. I don't think we're going to do that. Especially not when Annie's not here. If Annie were to drive us into that, I'd be like, okay, let's go. I don't think we'll do that today. This is the Manny Fry Show. We got a couple more segments. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, Audacy. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofSt.Louis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofSt.Louis.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
SherryKelly.com.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
Got a couple things to hit here. One of them I'm either going to not do right now and do later or not do at all, depending on the reaction online.
I got some stuff to talk about and some stuff not to talk about.
Quite the tease there.
8 kitchen tools that could kill you.
This one, I know for a fact, has been archived and saved for a long time.
I've said a few times, at some point, we're going to do this.
I think this one's been teased for a while.
The problem is that I've learned, and I learned this back when I was on the Glover Show, right up until this very moment, is that when you bring content into talk radio, if you do music radio, you can do stuff that's just like, boom, a couple comments, you're out, you're playing a song. If you're doing talk radio, you can't bring something that everybody goes, that's stupid. Because then it's over. There's nothing else to do.
It's like, all right, well, I guess we'll talk about something else now.
Right. So maybe we will talk about that, depending on if people are like, we have to. We have to now. Because I want to save your life. You might have a kitchen utensil that's going to kill you.
Just real quick, we were also told by Quick Rick to not quit our daytime jobs.
This is our daytime jobs.
That's what I was saying. So is that a compliment or is that an insult?
I think he's just saying keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
Well, that's very nice of you then.
What I have here are unspoken rules for men, Ethan.
Ooh. For men.
And I want to know whether
Who's the author?
it's just some random like motivational speaker.
Okay.
Named Steve Nandwa, and
Wow.
he put together all these unspoken rules for men that I think are pretty good. You can I'll say each one. You can disagree with it if you want, but my assumption is you're actually not going to disagree with them. But I want to see if you've ever broken them.
Okay.
And what is the title of this again?
Unspoken rules for men.
Okay.
And it's the Manny Fry show today, so we got to do it.
Sticking with the theme.
Yeah, because if Annie was here, she'd just be like, well, I don't know, because she's a girl.
Weird.
I know. All right, the first one. Never shake a hand sitting down.
Yes. That is
Have
a
you done
good
that?
rule. Yes, I've broken that one.
We agree. It's a good rule, but
That was a rule that I feel like at some point I feel like as a young kid I didn't know this rule, so this wasn't a big deal, but I've recognized the older that I get that like this matters.
Sometimes they catch you off guard too.
Sometimes they catch you off guard, especially when you're around here.
And that's usually how this happens with me. Is I don't even have time to stand up, and they're like hands out. And here you
Somebody
go.
walks up to you, you're doing your show prep or whatever, and they just walk up to say hello, and you're not expecting to be
Right.
meeting people. That does happen. So you have broken this rule.
Oh, for sure.
I too have broken this rule.
you're
But
a
it is a
breaker of the
good
rule.
rule, though.
Yeah.
What about handshaking in general? Were you ever taught to shake a hand? Or did you just learn how to do it well?
No, I was taught. Like
My dad
wouldn't-
taught me.
I wouldn't say it was like my dad's like, no, sit down here, son, and let me show you this.
My dad did that.
But whenever I would shake my dad's hand, he'd be like, no, that's not right.
Okay.
So it wasn't like that he sought out the opportunity to show me how to do it. But anytime we shook hands or something like that, he made it a point to correct any mistakes that I was making.
Let me ask you guys this. What would you say your success rate when it comes to shaking hands is? Do you understand that question or no?
No.
So like for me, I would say that 70% of the time I give a good handshake. But then sometimes
You just miss.
sometimes either you miss or people like they go in too aggressive and then they get just your finger.
Yeah, it happens. Or you get real deep into the palm.
You get too deep. Like that's what I'm asking. What would you say is your success rate?
I'd say 80 to 90%.
See, I feel like I have this issue maybe more than others though, where people I feel like tends to be people come in too aggressive and then they just freaking grab my fingers and I'm like, ah, crap. Now I feel like I'm the weakling.
There's part of giving a good handshake though that is like
that's part of it.
Right.
It's not going in too
it's
hard.
not being too aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not an established dominance thing. It's a sign of mutual respect.
Thank you for saying that, because I was going to say I didn't know how to put it.
It's why you shake hands with your right hand.
Okay.
Wait.
Oh, I shook hands with my left hand at the remote on Monday.
So couple
I had my right hand was full. I didn't.
Hey, it was Adam. It was fine.
Okay.
Me sick.
Couple things about handshakes. Left hand, kind of grosser. It was like how you would clean yourself back in the day.
That's how I still did.
Okay. And then, like the other thing is too, is most people are right-handed, and so that your sword was your right hand thing. So if you're offering your hand,
You're saying I'm not going to draw.
I'm not giving you my offhand. I'm giving you my strong hand, so you know that I'm not drawing down on you.
Doesn't speak for the lefties in the room though.
Well,
AKA yours truly
and me.
And two of the three in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a righty. Actually, I'm a lefty when I golf though.
Yeah, he is a
so
lefty
I'm
golfer.
semi-lefty. Do you know
Oh,
that?
no.
Yeah. When I bat, when I play hockey, and when I golf, I'm left-handed.
You play hockey a lot?
Well, I used to. I don't anymore. But this is an important one because everybody knows the like wet noodle hand isn't cool.
Right.
You can't do that. But there are people who will absolutely go after a handshake. And when they do that, I'm not saying I judge them the same way, but I do judge them like, okay, power tie. Nice to meet you.
It's almost like, come on, man. Like, really? Because
Yeah,
now
you doing this?
you made me like feel weird
Right.
because you just manhandled my fingers.
Exactly. Like, oh, okay, cool, man. I got you.
Yeah.
You're the dominant one in the room.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Curl contest now.
How about never insult the cooking when you're the guest?
I agree with that,
Oh,
and I have
yeah.
never done
I
that.
can't say I've ever done that unless it was unintentional when I was
Does a
younger.
restaurant
Yes.
count?
Yeah, because I would go to people's houses when I was, in my late teens, and I don't know that I was trying to be mean or anything, but I would just sometimes refuse a dish I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
But now I look back and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have even done that.
I'm trying to think if I've even had any really like big time difficulties with this at any point within the last, since probably late high school. I can't think of anywhere I was really turned off by something and showed, but I guess I can't always see my face. Well, I can't see my facial expression.
The time where this would happen nowadays, when you're older and like, oh, there's an etiquette to this,
right?
Is at a potluck where you might pass a dish and be like, I'm not a big fan of that, and the person might be standing right next to you, you don't even know it. That happens.
Oh, but if you pass it and don't say anything, it's okay. But it's the saying, not a big fan, or you need to have everything at the potluck, is what you're saying.
No, you don't.
That's what I'm curious what Ryan's thoughts are.
Well, I don't usually say anything, but if I'm with my kids, for instance, and they might be like, "Oh, Dad, you're going to get this," and I'm like, "No, I'm not really. I don't really like that," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then it might happen where you turn around and the person's right behind you. You're like, "Oh."
Like I don't like that particular dish specifically is different than I don't like that type of dish.
I don't like the way they made that dish. It's gross.
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble.
It tastes like that person smells.
It smells like pure gasoline.
Never eat the last piece of something you didn't buy.
Ooh. Yeah, I agree with that.
Let me ask you this. Is this included within the family or no?
We'll say office first.
Office first. Okay.
Or, public setting.
No, not at the office.
You're cool
with
it?
Like with the community setting out there no. If there's one sandwich left and that everybody's had some, go ahead and get it. Otherwise.
Well, what setting is it not okay then?
Like a dinner party or something like that, or if you have guests over and your guests bring over cake or something like that, don't have the last one. Or if you're at somebody's house for pizza, stuff like that. That's where I see that, but not like a community office, because somebody's supposed to eat the last one at a party. Like at an office setting.
I'm having a hard time with this one. I'm trying to think of a situation where it's not okay to eat the last thing, in my opinion.
Me too. I'm it's food. Leaving one, I guess you'd have to make sure that you aren't also the person that ate the majority of the thing already.
That's me.
That's where it becomes different. If all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I had 3 or 4 and there's one left, you're like, no, I've had enough. And that's showing, you have to show some discipline. That would be the only time where I'd say, that's a good example, Ryan, where you've already had, you've recognized you've had enough.
Yeah.
And if you eat another piece, then it's all of a sudden like, oh, geez, I just ate like half of this that was supposed to be for like 6-7 people.
Because of when we're on starting at noon, if we have a lunch here, I'm usually the first person through because I'm like, look, I got to get this done because we got to go on the air.
Guys, he's throwing elbows too when he does it.
I usually am the first person through. So I do feel bad going back at the end and being like, there's still some left. Because I was the one like banging on the door to get in. Come on, man. I see you got food in there. How about dress well no matter what the occasion?
Well, go ahead,
Why'd
Ethan.
you guys look at me like that?
Why do you look at me like that?
Because you're a verbal abuser when it comes to...
I am not a verbal abuser. You're just
criticizing
soft
my outfit choices.
It depends on how you define dress well.
See, that's the thing. Dressing well is subjective.
If you're wearing what look like ratty grass-cutting clothes to work.
Yeah, don't do
probably
that.
I don't
not
know
okay.
if you're going to find anyone that's going to say that's okay to an office job.
I think dressing well could also be translated into dressing appropriately for whatever it is that you're doing.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
What about included in this bullet point are good grooming and dressing. So you have to also, I guess that would mean be sort of shaved for a guy and washed so you don't smell bad.
Washed is good.
That one applies. That one fits.
You skip that one pretty often, right?
Yeah, that one's like a weekly kind of thing,
That's
you know?
a nightmare.
But I don't shave as much. I mean, I carry a beard halfway because I don't have to shave as often. But I don't shave where I, like my upper cheeks and my neck as often as I should either, because I'm just lazy. But I can pull it off because I got the beard. And it's like, it's just the way. It's just a look.
Scruff.
It's deliberate.
It's a look.
Always carry cash.
Why? What's
Being
the
prepared
point?
for various situations, including emergencies, is practical.
What,
it
like
reflects
getting robbed?
Foresight and responsibility.
Like getting robbed? Is that what do we define as an emergency?
Here's the thing, and we're moving farther and farther away from this, but like okay, you get a flat tire or whatever, and somebody comes to help you, you can give them a little cash to say thank you. We've got Venmo and stuff like that now, so you're moving away from that. Everybody takes card, but whenever they said that initially, it was like credit cards are kind of a new thing. Not everybody takes them, that sort of thing. So I think it's a good one. I don't think it's as critical, but if you ask me if I had cash on me right now, the answer would be yes.
We got people in the chat saying that they agree with this one, but I want to hear reasons why. Because I think that what you just said right there, Brad, just kind of negated that. I feel like
I think we're moving.
Cash is a
it.
thing of the past, and I don't understand. I mean, I'm
trying to come up with a situation other than an EMP that goes off.
Well, and at that point, does cash even do you any good?
Right.
Like when society collapses, does a legal note even matter?
Like, oh, well, we can't take your credit cards anymore, but yes, I will give you this bag of barley for 5 pence.
I mean, did it specify what?
As long as you got the physical pence.
Does it specify what types of bills?
No.
Does it say, okay, because my opinion also, especially, working in the city, I don't want to keep big bills on me because if for some reason, if I was to get jumped or robbed, like, I don't want to be out a bunch of cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine keeping, like, small bills on you, if you're going into a store, whatever reason, and you want to just throw in a couple of bucks. That's different to me. Or if you're going to a restaurant and you want to tip cash, that's different as well. But outside of that, I don't see much of a purpose outside of carrying maybe a couple of fives, a couple ones. I don't see the purpose of carrying cash on you anymore.
I don't know. Some guy could come up to you on the street just the same. Give me your wallet. Give me your CVV number and your PIN number. What are you going to do then?
I don't want that wallet. I want your Social Security.
I'm going to identity thief you. Terry online says, if someone orders an appetizer at a restaurant and shares it with the whole table, they should be the one to get to choose the last piece if they want it. I agree with that.
I agree with that one as well. Wait, is this your
This
Terry
is my
range?
Terry, yes.
That is
Hi, Terry.
Mrs. Range herself. How about proper grammar will get you far in life. Leave the foul language for the less educated. Whoa, fired shots. Ooh.
Damn straight.
Brad, can you jump that?
Nope, that one's out there for the world to hear. We want everybody to know what Ethan dresses like and what he talks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like a sailor.
And that he carries
And
no
I dress
cash.
Talk like a sailor, dress like a sailor.
Do you
carry
agree with
cash
this?
like a sailor.
I think that there are better ways to talk than to use foul language, but I don't think people that do use foul language. As a matter of fact, I'll say some of the most honest people I know have some of the filthiest mouths. So
there are a lot of people chiming in online on this one.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
using things that we can't say. This one I do agree with. However, I think, and we've talked about this before, I think that you can use curse words, but use them sparingly and they mean more.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's more about language usage in general, that if you're constantly, it's like Democrats saying everything's Hitler and Nazis. If you constantly are going for the biggest word you can, then that word also becomes kind of pointless.
Meaningless.
And so if you, in your vocabulary, if you are having such a bad day that you're going to drop an F-bomb, and you very rarely ever drop F-bombs, people are going to go, wow, that dude's having a bad day.
That's why I said to you yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Or did you just say blank you because that's what you say to me every day?
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it was.
I said, great show, Ethan. He goes, blank you.
Ryan started it.
Last one is listen, nod, and most of all, make eye contact.
Eye contact is huge. But
it
not
does
like,
matter.
Not like creepy eye contact. So this is like a handshake. You have to learn how to do it right.
Yeah, you do. And the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
It's
okay to blink when you're making eye contact.
How often should you blink, though?
I don't know the answer to this question.
Your facial expressions have to match what the conversation is saying, too. So if it's a conversation where the people are concerned, you have to show concern on the rest of your face, and you can't just stare deep into their soul.
Brad, you haven't blinked once while speaking to me these last 20 seconds.
Neither have you.
Dude, I've blinked like 18 times.
I
I am intentionally blinking at an excessive rate right now to try and be awkward. Yeah, Morse code. I agree with this one as well. I think it's very similar to the handshake. It's a respect thing.
Yeah,
right.
It's almost a standard that you don't notice it if people are doing it right, but you do notice it if they're doing it wrong.
And sure. And I think in today's day and age, you notice it more in younger generations than ever.
That's true. That probably was always true of younger people.
But I feel like it's
more
worse.
now.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, my wife's a teacher, Brad's wife's a teacher, Annie's husband's a teacher. So we get a lot of reports about kids and Gen Z. We talk about young stuff a lot, probably halfway because of that. And that's one that I hear a lot, that my wife's been a teacher for 25 years now or something, like pretty long time. And maybe not quite that long, 20 years. And she said she's seen generations come through now, that some are better at certain things than others. And one of the things she can see now is she can tell on day one when a kid walks into the classroom if they are addicted, for the lack of a better word, to video games. Because they just don't have the social, it's like they need stimulation faster. And the eye contact is a part of that.
Do you think that things like social media and I think specifically TikTok could go into a similar category in today's day and age as the video game?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure
but
it's
maybe
the
not
same.
as intense.
It scratches the same itch on people,
Right.
that stimulation itch, that need to be entertained, and the ability to keep yourself entertained atrophies. I've noticed this in myself.
Me too. I mean, we're so connected to X and stuff
Yeah.
all the time because we're doing news that we kind of have this excuse for, I'm just doing it for my work.
But when the internet goes out at the house and you don't have anything, you're like, oh, what do I do now?
And I even mean looking like the difference between a 60-second video and a 4-minute video. It's saying, I don't want to put the time into a 4-minute.
The 4-minute,
video
yeah,
because it's too long to get to the end conclusion. Like that's where I am.
It's so funny that you say that. We'll just conclude on this because we got to go. We got a whole bunch of stuff about kitchen tools we got to get to in the next segment. But it's interesting to be doing what we do because people tune in to talk radio for long periods of time. And we know that from the data that people and podcasts have taken off. That's long form engagement.
Right.
And somehow that has existed and grown at the same time as people are watching shorter and shorter stuff because they can't keep their attention. Isn't that strange?
That is extremely strange, and it's a really good point that you don't consider. They almost contradict each other. Very interesting. And I
because
have no backing.
This radio show is 3 hours. Mark Reardon's 3 hours. Mark Cox, 4 hours. Radio shows are long, and people download the podcast and listen to the whole show every day. And they're listening to the whole thing. So it's almost like you either go all in on the really long stuff or you just like boom, 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 I got to go. Speaking of going, we got to go because we got to get to 8 kitchen tools that you will need to keep in top condition unless you want to die. That's coming up next.
Nothing can break me down. I'm the man.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I talk about going to Andrea's restaurant a lot because I love it, and I highly suggest you do. It is in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois. One-of-a-kind experience, fantastic steaks, and really anything you get there. But I do want to also mention that you can get their steak sauce at home and cook with it. The Andrea's steak sauce has been around and worldwide famous now since 1978. You can get it at most area grocery stores, definitely Dierberg's and Schnucks. And it's always fun to mention that your local butcher probably carries it because they know, they're in the know. They know like what makes meat taste good. A lot of them carry Andrea's because of that. But they also have a couple other sauces that I don't mention often enough. That is their salad dressing, which is phenomenal. It's a house dressing. It's kind of a vinaigrette. I think it's more of a vinegar base, but it is very, very unique as well. So if you've ever had their steak sauce and you never had the salad dressing, definitely pick up a bottle of Andrea's salad dressing as well. And the new one is their barbecue sauce. That just came out about 2 years ago. And I pretty much don't eat any other barbecue sauce now. Andrea's is for cooking more, but the barbecue sauce I use for dipping. And I just love all 3 of those. So you can get them all in a package by going to Andreas.com, or you can order them individually or get them at the stores. Again, Andreas.com.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me, I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around the store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Gain peace of mind that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They give all their clients attentive personal service, even bring toys for the kids of the household. It's a family-owned and operated business for 25-plus years. They make sure you make the right choice for your home. So if you have carpets or hard floors, you're going to be happy for years to come. 3 convenient locations in St. Charles County, 116 Main Street, in Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70, in West County on Olive, and the store in Darden Prairie. Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloor.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Manny Fry Show.
I like this song. I like Mark McGrath's other work better on Inside Hollywood or whatever. Access Hollywood.
This feels like a song that could have made it into the Manny Fry Show intro.
This song sounds like my freshman year.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like my junior year, maybe.
Bro had the puka shell necklace and the frosted tips.
Yeah.
My freshman year song.
He still looks like that too.
Does he?
Just to give some context on the difference here in age, my freshman year song would have been like "Hit the Quan," if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
What is that?
You remember that dance? It was how about "Watch Me Whip"?
Yeah, Nene.
That would have that was probably 8th grade, but like that's around the time period that I was at then.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I'm going to get to this article here, kitchen tools that could kill you, in just a second, but and I know people have been waiting for this, but Ethan wanted to bring up a debate that's happening right now as we speak.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I think that you're just trying to put off your article on kitchen utensils.
I might be.
So I saw an argument recently on X, formerly Twitter, debating if it would be more difficult to become a cardinal within the Catholic Church or a St. Louis Cardinal.
It's a good one.
I've got to say, I like that these internet debates are getting better, because the debates were like, is water wet? Is the stupidest debate I've ever heard. But then you get into things like, are there more doors or wheels in the world? can 100 guys take on one gorilla? And
what
now,
came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, but these debate questions are good because I really like this. What do you got, Ethan? What do you think?
I think. Well, hold on. I know, like, I saw like some research
Yeah, you
behind
have
it,
some
so I don't want to get.
You looked
I
at
want
research?
There was some backing to this in a video that I saw.
I also did a little bit of research.
Did you actually? Yeah, a little bit. You suck. Go ahead, Brad. You give your answer first.
I think it's more difficult to be a St. Louis Cardinal. If you're talking about the major league team, the big team, I think it's more difficult to be a professional baseball player for the St. Louis Cardinals than it is to be a Cardinal in the Catholic
You mean
Church.
like physically demanding? It would limit the number
I
of
think that
people.
there are less St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm just saying percentage-wise. I interpreted the question as being, if you're born, all things being equal, what is the chances of you becoming one or the other?
Yeah, I think that you have a better chance of becoming a Cardinal in the Catholic Church than you do a St. Louis Cardinal.
I think obviously.
Does it include the farm system?
I would say no.
Okay, so you have to be a player on the major league system.
Baseball player for the St. Louis Cardinals, Major League Baseball player. I would say physically, obviously, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. So I would say that physically being a member of the St. Louis Cardinals would be more challenging. But the numbers, Ryan, they speak to the opposite of this, don't they?
I was going the other way.
Really?
I just looked up one fact: the number of Catholic Cardinals in the world, and the number, at least according to the AI overview, is 251. 251 total Cardinals in the Roman Catholic Church, which, if you're comparing that to the number of players on a baseball team, would indicate that you have less of a chance of making the baseball team. But you are a Cardinal for a long time, a Roman Catholic Cardinal. You are maybe a St. Louis Cardinal for a much shorter time.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about over the lifetime of a person, you're going to have a lot more St. Louis Cardinal players than you are Roman Catholic Cardinals. So I would say it would be tougher to become a Catholic Cardinal.
In Cardinals history, which Cardinals though? Huh? That's
know.
the question, right? St. Louis Cardinals history.
yeah.
There have been around 2,000 players to play for the organization.
That's still so low.
For the Catholic Cardinals, there's been around 2,900. So there's been more Catholic Cardinals, but they also have 800 more years of history.
See?
So you take into consideration those 800 more years, and I feel like because of that, it would be more difficult to become a Catholic Cardinal.
I agree.
The math backs that.
I agree.
Now, I will say this. I don't think that most of those Catholic Cardinals could hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
I don't either.
Yeah, but how many of those St. Louis Cardinals could recite the catechism?
Ooh.
With practice, I think they'd have a better chance to do that than the Catholic Cardinals would have to hit that fastball.
For sure. That's kind of where I was basing,
especially when you consider age.
That's kind of where I was
old fellas.
because you could do the history argument, but I would say if you sit here and you look at this, you're saying in a lifetime, how easy would it be for one person to achieve that achievement versus to achieve this other achievement? And you can learn and you can work and you can study and you can get the skills to be a Cardinal, a Catholic Cardinal. You can't do. There is an innate physical talent that you would need that you can't teach yourself if you wanted to be a St. Louis Cardinal. So your odds of doing one or the other, you have better odds of becoming a Catholic Cardinal.
We're going to get the results of the YouTube live chat poll from Ethan here in just a second, but I do have, a minute here to get to the 8 kitchen tools you need to keep in top condition for your safety. Now, these are things that could literally kill you if you don't take proper care of them. Brad saying we are out of time and we got to go back to the YouTube live chat poll. Tune in tomorrow. We'll just get to this probably in Wiggins America. Annie won't be in on the joke, but we'll probably do it anyway. The poll is how much of Jake Tapper's book about Biden's decline will you read? 0% or any other percent?
217 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you guys want to quickly give your answers?
I'm a 0%.
I think I'll be, what's the other one? Any other percent?
Really?
Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, I kind of want the T.
If there was an option lower than 0%, that's what I would be picking. Although I bet it's going to be an interesting read. I have no interest.
I don't want to buy that book. I don't want anything to do with that book.
Well, the people agree with me. 92% say 0%. That's a little trippy. And 8% say
That's how I was
any
hoping
other
this would go.
percent.
That's great.
Well done, Ryan.
All right, well, this has been the Manny Fry Show. Mark Reardon's coming up next with Ryan Recker, and then we hope to have Annie back tomorrow, and we will see you then.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0%